Ready when you are.
Okay, we're minus Kellen at the moment, but we're going to go ahead and start. Call this meeting to order, DeKalb County Commissioners. Today's date, April 28th, 2025. So off we go, Dottie.
Off we go, yes. Well, why don't we, off we go, talk about the very little recruiting that we're doing. So here we go with Morgan.
Yes, the only opening we currently have is for a part-time field officer at Community Correction. And that's it.
That's it?
Yep.
That's all?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's, yeah, kind of interesting. Right now, Community Corrections are they running a background check on that residential facilitator? That one? They haven't hired that person yet.
I think they're moving some things around.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, that's really it. So, I know, it's good. So, I gave you some handouts that we received in the safety committee meeting last week, and I just want to kind of touch on a little bit. The one that has looks like a spreadsheet, that is our claims for 2025 so far, and we only have 3 open claims that are from this year. That doesn't count the ones that we have from the 2021, the 2020 claim, and then I think we have a couple others that are from incident that from the sheriff's office. But we did talk about how, the sheriff's office has the most, and that's because they have the most risk. So there is that. Then on the next
Question,
page.
Dottie.
Oh, yeah.
On those claims on that first and the dog bite,
Yeah.
do we have any way, how does that work? Does the homeowner share responsibility for that claim?
Yes, actually what happens is the insurance company contacts the homeowner, the owner of the dog, and they go through a process where the homeowner's insurance or whatever then pays for certain things. Yeah, so they actually go after the party who, perpetrated the incident.
Will that be reflected in this total at some point?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, eventually after all is said and done and when it's closed.
Okay.
Yeah. So for right now, we have only paid, or I should say our insurance has only paid $157.36. They were expecting about $3,000. So yeah, they are very good about that. I've seen that happen before, like when there have been car situations, the other, the party who, the citizen who perpetrated the event, they will go after that person's insurance and pay for things that way so that we're not stuck with it. Yeah, they do a really good job with that. Yep. So then on the other page that I gave you, at the top, the years that our policy has been in effect and the what kind of claims that we have had. And as you can see, we're doing really well so far in 2025. But to give you a little perspective, back in 2022, or I should say in 2021, our cost, the claims were $151,000, which that was, not good. And then it goes through the list of what we have had in those years, what kind of each department or the type of incident that we have had, and how often that we have had it, and then by severity, they mean, what the costs have been with each of those situations in the last, umpteen years. Right now, our mod rate is above average, which is bad. It's 1.19 for our mod rate, which is what we pay for our work comp insurance. But because of the trend and what we have experienced, they are expecting a 0.85 mod rate, which is much better than average, and that's good. Sorry. So I think that when Kyle comes in later this morning, he will have a few things to say also about that.
Good,
Yeah.
good news.
Very good news, excuse me. Something else that we talked about in the safety committee meeting was CPR training. We haven't had any for a couple years, and it's time. CPR lasts, or you should be certified every 2 years. I do have a quote from the person who has done our training in the past, and it would be $25 per person, which hasn't changed. It covers all the supplies, all the cards, the trainings, and that person would be available for some training in June and July. What the safety committee would like to do is put out the feelers to see who would like to be recertified, any new employees that we would like to have certified, but we want to make sure that the commissioners are on board, and because that money comes out of your pocket. So we just,
Doing it?
that would be, it would be our, it's an internal person who does it at its central communications. Yep. And she is with the, she's of the Heart Association. Yeah. Yep. As opposed to the Red Cross. So, and in the past, we've gotten quotes higher than that.
25 is a good deal.
Yeah, it is. 25 is a good deal, and hasn't changed.
What's been our average participation in that?
About 10. About 10 employees.
Is that right?
Yeah, well, thereabouts. We do have a list on the intranet that of our employees who are certified, and having, along with the CPR, we have the AED training at the same time, which is great because the health department is getting all new AEDs for all of our county buildings, and even those buildings that did not have an AED previously. So they are taking over that part of the program, the health department, which is wonderful. They will go, and you all received an email on this program. They will inspect them every month, checking for the batteries, whatever needs to be checked. And if the current ones that have still some life in them, if they need any parts and pieces, the health department will purchase those to take care of them until they are no longer of use, and then they will purchase new ones for those.
Those have to be recharged periodically.
No, they have to have new batteries every so often, and those batteries are very expensive, yes. So, yeah.
What, Kellen?
You might as well just get new AEDs at that point instead of replacing the batteries.
Yeah, really, yeah. So anyway, yeah, good plan for the safety committee and the health department. But anyway, to get back to the training, if you guys approve, I'll go ahead and the safety committee will get a message out to to our staff and see who is interested, and we will work on getting some things scheduled down the road.
What do you think, commissioners? Go ahead with that program?
Oh, yeah, I think it's a great program.
Yeah. Agreed.
Motion.
Motion?
Make the motion. Second.
Okay, motion second on the floor. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Awesome, that is great.
Did they get the AEDs through a grant, or are they using their budget money?
That I do not know.
Okay.
And if Alyssa didn't mention it in the,
What did you ask?
I don't know, in that email, grant or,
They used,
It might be a little bit of both.
little bit above.
I know she was working, I can't remember who, she was working with somebody that was possibly going to just.
Yeah,
pay
so
them.
Because usually there's a lot of grants out there.
Correct.
I just-
Yeah. She had some
Yeah.
leads that none of us would know anything about.
Yeah, she didn't announce it at the safety committee meeting, and she didn't in the email. But I did ask to, if the health department had anyone who was CPR certified to teach. They do not at this time. So I thought, okay, once again, keep it in-house if we could, but they don't. So I believe we'll stay with the person that has been doing our training for the last few years, and go from there. So there's that. We are going to put out an email to our department heads that in-person fire extinguisher training will be held out at the new highway department. And all of our department heads are supposed to get directly with Ben Parker, take the middleman out and just go directly to him. And he knows what his schedule is out there. We have a bunch of off-duty fire extinguishers that can be used so that our employees can actually lift one, find out just how heavy that is, and really work with it and be able to discharge it and go through the PASS program, the PASS. So that's great. BASA also came and talked to the safety committee about the new telephone system that will be coming in place. Now, we won't be changing the hardware. It's more on a software program, since the city of Auburn is going a different route. And this way, we will have the capability of being able to page. The problem with some of our buildings is that because of the age, we do not have fire alarms to be pulled on or push a button or whatever. We do have those emergency buttons either under, and everything is different in every department on our computers, counters, whatever. But that is not, please evacuate the building immediately. Sorts of notices, messages that we need to get out to our employees. So that will be a benefit to our, evacuation process, should we ever need that. So that was good. Then the last thing that I really have on my agenda is, I know it's only April, but September will be here soon enough. And we have historically, the fair has taken over the 10th Street parking area for the stage. The 9th Street parking area has been utilized by the fair for handicapped parking, although we hear from Development Services, Chris Gaumer, that that parking lot isn't utilized very much on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even on Thursday of the fair for the handicapped parking. But we, in the past, one of our county commissioners has made contact with the fair board to talk to them about the fact that they don't pay anything for the use of our parking lots. And what we have, the arrangement that we have made with the fair board is to allow any of our employees with a parking pass who cannot find a parking space, that they are allowed to park in the grassy area south toward the fairgrounds for free while they are, on shift. It's not a, oh, you're allowed to come back, in the evening and come to the fair for free. No, that's not it at all. We have made it so that you have permission to park there for free while you are working. And we've had quite a few people avail themselves of that. But we don't want to just assume, like just assume that that arrangement is going to stay in place. So we would like one of the county commissioners to please reach out to the Fair Board to make that happen so that I can feel confident putting out an email in September, letting our employees know about that. So that's one thing. The other thing is the Friday of the ACD Festival, when we have 11 bazillion classic cars in downtown Auburn. And as much as we love to have all of those, the people come into town and, it's a great event, we have employees who need to park, who come to work and they expect to find a parking space. And Andrew, you're smiling because last year we had that truck and trailer in that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I own the lot, that's that strip of dirt lot, and somebody had
By the
parked it in.
10th Street,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
So-
And so we had to, there were many people that we had to ask early in the morning, sorry, please move.
The Auburn police did help very well, though, that day, so.
That was good. So we don't have really enough signage at the 10th Street parking lot. The one by the jail has a sandwich board that states something about DeKalb County employee parking. Over at the 7th Street Annex parking lot, we just maybe need to beef it up a little bit, especially during those events, so that our employees actually can find a place to park. So things to keep in mind for, like I said, September will be here before we know it. So this causes issues and complaints, because I am, after all, HR is the parking police. Along with the bathroom police and I'll just go on and on. We're always the police, and it's not always fun, but we need some assistance with those two. So anyway, that's what I have.
Okay. Anything for Dottie, commissioners?
The only thing I have for Dottie is we talked about Dottie for Sunny Meadows taking over and being in charge of the hiring and HR part of the Sunny Meadows. I know I've talked to you guys a little bit about that. Are you guys okay with that? Do we need to make a motion for that, Andrew? I know we've kind of talked about it.
I think you should, yeah, just to keep the lines of control clear.
Yeah, because technically you guys are over.
Okay, so I'd make the motion that Dottie from HR would take over the HR responsibilities at Sunny Meadows starting, because Angela's last day is this Friday, so you would take over after her last day.
Second.
A motion and a second on the floor, and additional comments? Comments from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
This is a mid-
There you go. Good, good job. Job security. We don't want you to run out of work now.
We need to do that. We need to keep things, some continuity there, and, we're happy to do that so that it can continue to run while we are transitioning.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
Anything else?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day. Sure. Okay, let's jump over and do a couple of things here. Payroll bi-weekly. Motion to approve.
So moved to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion second to approve payroll. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Payroll is approved. Claims. We get through the claims.
I'll second.
Do have
Sure.
Sheriff is operational supplies, 54.
Oh, those look like they're ballistics, they're
That's
vests, yeah.
101, and the number is 001455, Northeastern Center, 36,000.
That's their,
Is it a monthly payment? The
month,
state's
I say, I'm
mandated?
trying to think if it was monthly. I think it is, yes, it's their monthly, they get a monthly amount. Instead of yearly, we break it down and we send it to each month, so that's their April payment.
That's the thing we require to have to give them for state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're required by the state to have a mental health something,
It's
correct?
like a gatekeeper,
Yeah,
a lead mental health facility for your area, I think, or something like that.
1205 010809, Linsett Holdings for 83,000.
oh, that's tax sale surplus, so, there was a property, so there was a property that would have been purchased at tax sale, and that property redeemed, and because the buyer, they had paid extra surplus when they bought it, then they get that back plus their interest. So it just means that the property redeemed by the original owner or somebody, and it's paid up to date, and now the buyer gets their money back.
1224 010263, Nexus Group, 55,500.
That is the assessor, we have to reassess, they have a contract to do their reassessment. So that's their, it says their second quarter of their contract amount that we pay. No, absolutely. I'm glad you are. Ask anytime. It helps.
Right.
That's kind of a charge that the state took over to do the assessing. Am I right, Susan? But we have to pay this extra charge for them to do this assessing.
I don't know if the state require,
They require.
I mean, they require us, yeah, to do the reassessment. I think it's
You gotta do a quarter of the
our.
county every so often.
Yeah, a quarter of
wanna
our
do it.
assessor and us, we decided to have help and use a contractor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose? Motion carries. Let's catch the minutes real quick.
Make a motion to accept minutes.
I'll comment on the minutes. There's under the, what was it? There's a total wrong on the jail repair sidewalk.
Oh,
The total transfer down to the granting of that project is wrong. Web concrete should have been 29,000, not 3,000 and some. Awarded to web concrete.
no. Oh, in here.
Right here, this should be
Oh, I see. Got it.
2,900, not 1,000.
Yep, got it.
Got it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Correction has been made. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Chris Gomer, You are up. What you got?
Yeah.
So our permitting software contract that we had with what was called Dude Solutions became Brightly, and now Granicus, the contract you have in front of you, bought Brightly, which in turn means we need to have a new contract with them to do our permitting software. So that's just what this is. Nothing really new with the contract itself other than pricing, but then obviously dealing with a new company, their terms and conditions and things like that. So just a new contract with them. Did go through with Andrew Cruz. He reviewed it, and the 28-page
85 page.
or 85-page terms and conditions, or whatever that thing's called. So he did read all that. I don't believe had any issues.
I mean, there was one issue, there's no way they're gonna change any of that 85-page thing. I noticed that they put in there, they have the right to protect us and hire an attorney to represent us, I guess, in any copyright lawsuits. It gives them the ability to, but not the duty to, but I'm pretty sure this company's not gonna change their contract just for one county, so. I approve it overall, basically.
Yeah.
Massive contract, but overall, okay.
The only other thing was with the contract through 2027, the fees, like most all fees and contracts, go up. They left our current year the same. The following year goes up from 15,542, 543 to 16,631, and then to 17,795 in 2027. So I'll just have to make sure when we do budgets that that's all accounted for with that. But again, this is just our current permitting software that we use. We use it for all of DeKalb County, unincorporated DeKalb County, for our ILPs and our building permits, and then building permits for all of the municipalities except Auburn. So we do all the building permitting for them. So great software for us to use. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. If not, I do need a motion for approval and Bill to sign as president of the commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
A motion, a second on the floor. Any additional comments?
Just a quick question. Just out of curiosity, have you priced?
When we looked at this, oh gosh, how long's it been? 4 or 5 years ago we did. This was by far the cheapest and the most user-friendly for us. And we have the ability to edit, add, change, fee amounts, that sort of thing, in-house versus sending it off and doing a work ticket and all that. So it allows us the ability to control and manage better permitting styles and permitting types and that sort of thing.
Follow-up question. Since there will be a price increase, that's something that you will just increase the price of doing business?
So we have, you remember, was it, Bill, was it this year or was it last year that we increased our building permit fees? I can't remember if
It was last year.
was it last year? It was close to end of last year. We actually almost doubled most, if not all, of our building permit fees. And then the Plan Commission has the ability to increase or decrease Plan Commission fees. So our improvement location permit going through various boards and commissions, we did up those a little bit. I probably will look at what we bring in this year and price out try to, it's difficult to price out exactly because driving from site to site to site for our building inspector is difficult to not track, but figure out what we're spending. But I do know that, you know, I'm a believer of if somebody's gonna petition the plan commission, they should be able to, and you should be able to cover the costs. We're paying our members $75 a meeting, so multiply that by 9. You know, that's a lot of dollars for the plan commission. And if we have 1 or 2 hearings, how do we make up that cost? So, but yes, in short.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Never mind. I was thinking you had the sign.
Okay. Here, brother Jim. Moving on. County Home March Report, acceptance of.
Yes, so I had scanned in the March report of income, what we paid out in rent for county home. And that is you just acknowledge receipt of it, and then you guys have to sign the front of it. And then probably next meeting, you'll have the April one.
I see on the list of residents' income, there's some that are blank.
Those are, there's a note, I think by their name maybe, they're RCAP residents, which is paid by FSSA. So we get their rent, it just doesn't come from them.
From them.
Yeah, and we receive it like, it's with the state, so we receive it like 2 months later.
Oh, always behind.
Yeah.
Make a motion to accept the monthly report.
A motion, a second on the floor, additional comments? Comments from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
You guys have to sign the front of that.
Oh,
I know. Okay.
okay. Next up, the Heartland Interpretation Agreement.
Okay, give me 1 second.
We got seconds.
Garrett would be counting for me. Okay, this was, okay, the health department, they are wanting to do a contract for interpretation and translation services within their department, and they're asking for you guys to approve it. We're doing a few things at once here.
You scan that one, the Heartland one? And in the packet?
I think I did, but it's been a weekend. Okay, so I had asked the health department to put something together of why they need it. So they said with the increase in non-English speaking patients, the health department is looking for a new interpretation service. By having a translation service, this allows us to effectively communicate with patients and accurately relay important medical information directly to the individual. By going through a medical interpretation service, we can ensure that translators are medically certified interpreters, which allows more accurate translation of services being provided, and they also can follow the HIPAA regulations. So Heartland Translation Service is at no cost to create an account, and we are only charged $1.30 per minute when using the service. They offer phone, video, and in-person services. I had asked HR, because I was thinking that the county already had somebody that did these services, but we don't. We just have people, companies that we, like with the state, that we can call for help, but it doesn't really do the translating. And I believe, I know Superior One, I believe, they have an interpreter for their services that would be more judicial related.
There's court interpretation services that are set up with multiple different languages. I did look through the contract from the standpoint of the legal issues and so forth, and I had a couple of changes to it, and they made those changes. So, that's fine. One of them was the liability insurance was blank, so they put in $1 million, which is
Entertain a motion.
I'll second.
A motion and a second on the floor. Any additional comments? Comments from the public?
So the reason we have to use Heartland is because of all the HIPAA that goes along with it. Is that why we can't just?
Say that one more time.
The reason they chose Heartland is because of the HIPAA violations and all the HIPAA information that the health department's got to cover correctly.
They just said that they specialize in the health care stuff. I don't know if there's others. I have no idea.
my understanding from it was the healthcare, so like the medical words and medical terminologies that some interpreters might not know.
Okay.
That was my understanding of it.
Okay, a motion on the floor and a second. Barring any other comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. sign on that yellow,
I know, it's so hard. I don't like it when they do that.
yellow streak
Perfect.
across there and it won't take the ink. Okay. We have the contractor for services Sunny Meadows.
We moved to the RDC since Mr. Hoover and Mr. Weinhold are both here
Yeah,
to talk about it, so that way they can move on with their day.
I had removed it because I didn't know, I didn't hear back, and I hadn't talked to Mr.
Hoover, yeah.
I know, but then I didn't let
But they're
Mr.
both here now, so I thought maybe we could
Reinhardt
do that, so we
know.
don't, they can
we can do that.
do that and then they
We
can.
got,
move on
we
with
got
their day.
open time.
That's okay with you
Really-
gentlemen?
It's not on the agenda to fit it in any particular spot, so let's do it. Mr. Hoover?
Hello,
Morning.
Ryan Hoover, 3935 County Road, 75 Butler, Indiana. I collected some. I would love the opportunity to serve. I haven't missed watching a commissioners meeting or a council meeting over the last 2.5 years. I feel like I'd be a good representative. I grew up in Spencerville, St. Joe area. And then from there, I went to college. I did move away for 4 years. As soon as I graduated, we moved back, my wife and I, and we moved to the north side of Butler, all the way to the north side up by Hamilton. And then now we currently reside south of Butler, kind of almost by Lynn, not too far from Lynn at all. So I've covered the east side, but I want to make it clear I have friends all over DeKalb County, Garrett. My mom owns a shop not even a block from here where I grew up, spending my summers here. I've got 2 little kids, and I just I want to see our county continue to drive in the right direction, so they can get the same experience I had as a child, and now obviously. So, if you guys have any questions, be more than happy to answer them.
Is that the original?
Yeah.
I have no questions for Mr. Hoover.
It's probably been 1.5 years since I spoke with Bill about getting involved. And we're just working for the right time. Spoke to you, and I would just love the opportunity to serve. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm just excited to get involved. Ready?
Comments, questions?
I still feel like this board does need a farmer on it. Now that finally farmers are eligible to receive economic development funds, we've had 3 operations farming operations in the last year and a half that have finally gotten. Before, it was because of the issue with employees. I actually tried several years, well, it's probably been 5 years ago, to get economic development funds when we upgraded our grain system, and was immediately thrown out because we were only adding 1 employee, which was the big issue. But finally, farmers are able to get these economic development funds, and since there are no farmers on this board, I feel it's very important that we do allow somebody from the agriculture to finally be on this board. So I'm going to make a motion that Lynn Reinhardt be the representative on the board.
So I make it clear too, although I don't own 2,000 or 3,000 acres, I do have a small farm. It's 33 acres. My wife and I purchased it ourselves. We have some cows, we do some hay, we do some pigs, but there's a lot I still have yet to learn about farming, but I do honor it, and I definitely honor those who have brought us to where we are with it.
Thank you, Ryan. Yes, sir, Mr.
Okay.
Reinhardt.
Just a second. You've got a motion. So I think you need to either have a second or not have a second before the conversation.
No, we can have
Is that
conversation.
right?
Come on
No,
up. Come on up.
you can't have conversation without a second.
Yes, we can.
Well,
I just
you
asked
can-
the
you can-
attorney.
well, it's supposed to be that way. I mean, it's not gonna necessarily invalidate anything, it's just proper process is usually a motion and a second and then discussion under Robert's rules, but
Since we allowed Mr. Hoover, we'll allow Mr. Reinhardt, very quickly, Mr. Reinhardt. Very quick. Because you had your time 2 weeks ago. Lynn, we went through this 2 weeks ago, so, yeah, that's.
There are a couple of things then that weren't. If I were to be. Yes, consider if I would not be chair. That would be, I would like to see them bring a plan, have proposals come before them.
Lynn, we're not here today to discuss what might or might not happen with that committee. We're here to discuss whether you, no, Lynn, you'll have to set. We're going to take a vote on this. You discussed this last week, or like 2 weeks ago. We're not going to repeat what you. Now, I told you very briefly, we're not going to sit here and have a back and forth debate with this thing. You take 5 minutes, and I got to give Mr. Hoover 5 minutes. And we're not, he had what you had 2 weeks ago. We're not going to sit here and debate back and forth. I said, make it quick, and that's quick. I mean, quick. Okay, we have a second on Mr. Miller's motion. No second?
So the motion dies without a second.
Dies out, second. Entertain an additional motion.
I'll motion Mr. Hoover. Be on the RDC. Like I did last time.
I will second that motion. Any additional comments?
Yeah, it's too bad that we can't have a farmer agricultural community that's been generations out there represent the ag community on this board.
Any other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on. What you got here, Susan?
Okay, give me just a second here so I can.
Okay. What you got on this, Kellen? Anything?
This is the contract with Senior Care and Consulting LLC. She is, Brenda is her name. It's her company that's going to be doing the transition coordinator for Sunny Meadows. We've been back and forth. Andrew and I have been back and forth with it the last week, correct?
Yep.
Kind of, and Dottie's been involved. This is what they had for her kind of down there at Adams County when she helped transition their facility out. that we kind of took that and this is what it is. So if you guys have any questions on it with the contract that she'll be.
I think this is probably a good idea. This person has been involved with this before in these transitions. And I don't think we've got anybody qualified in-house to do this, so.
No, she's from Adams County, so she's kind of outside looking in. So she's done this before. She is I believe, the director of a nursing home, so she's very familiar with all the ins and outs of Medicare and all that stuff too. So she would be my recommendation to hire for her. She's as willing to start as soon as Wednesday. I mean, out there meeting the residents, meeting with Angela, and getting to know people and start the process.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
I would make the motion to accept this contract.
Second.
A motion and a second on the floor. Additional comments? Comments from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to make one more comment. She will be our point person out there at Sunny Meadows for anybody that's being transitioned out. I know there's been some people that have been out there soliciting our residents out there prior to this, and I would ask anybody that's wanting to help out the residents to not go to the residents directly and go to Miss Brenda Johns. She's going to be coordinated to make sure we're all on the same page, make sure things are not getting missed, things aren't getting skipped or anything like that, and that she is going to be the point person with it, and she's going to work closely with the committee on making sure these residents are placed properly. So. Thank you, Bill.
Okay. We want to jump in that city-county master agreement. We got time for that?
Okay, so prior we had a motion that you approved it with some wording changes. But since then, I believe there's been discussion that you're okay with the way that it was originally
Yes.
done, so,
Do I need to withdraw my other
think
motion?
Helen-
You'll need to,
Yeah.
huh?
Do we need to withdraw the other motion then?
Well, I don't think you can withdraw it because you voted on it and approved it. I think you just need a new motion to approve the original agreement. That's how I view it.
So I'll make the motion to approve the new updated county city IT master agreement. I've talked to Mayor Clark and some other people within the city of Auburn to hash out the new updated version with some of the wording that I had concerns with. And due to the change in services the last week, I think we need to get this done today.
A motion and a second on the floor. Additional comments? Comments from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Kimberly Teagard, you are on board.
Is your mic on? Is that
Yellow, blue light.
blue? Did it?
Got
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm here to present for our Q1 for DART transportation. And you guys all have an agenda, correct?
I emailed everything to him.
Okay, perfect. All right, just go over the past quarter for DART transportation. We have 14 drivers currently employed. 2 of them are full-time and 12 of them are part-time. I also sent a request for assistance for 2026 to Susan to disperse to you guys as well. Just looking to see about your assistance for 26 and how important and vital it is for DART transportation to have your assistance as well. It's deeply appreciated. All of our fleet now has new radios. They were purchased and installed by J&K Communications. They're working pretty well. We've ran into a few hiccups in Butler due to just the communication with their there's just one area we tend to lose service that they're working into. We did sell a van. It was number 16. We sold it on April 10th for $4,000. And then you guys should be seeing a lot of paperwork coming your way for signing for our 2026 grant process for our 5311, the pass-through agreement documents. So just looking to get those signed so I can get them uploaded and get our 26 approved through NDOT. Quarterly invoice, you'll see our expense report, $180,657.26. And then our fare totals for quarter one were $17,736.92. And then you'll see our year-to-date where we're at for 2025 with 3,251 passenger trips for quarter one. And then just looking to need the first quarter invoice signed. Other than that, that's pretty much it for our first quarter.
Okay, so let's back up here and do this a little bit. First, we need to motion and approve for Bill to sign the quarter one invoice for $60,350 as the pass-through entity. That's the first thing we need to do.
And that's for the van, and the 677 is our match.
Oh yeah, sorry, there's a vehicle agreement in there as well. That just recently came in for me. They just delivered our van number 35 for 2025. Sorry, that was outside of this. I just got it last week.
How do you want that word?
And,
Pass through transfer?
okay, so let's do a motion for the quarter one operating and capital invoices.
Make a motion. Accept the first quarter.
Operating and capital NDOT invoices, that'll be good. Yeah. I gotcha.
I'll second that.
A motion and second on the floor. Additional comments? Comments from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so then we have all of the grant information. So we have multiple things that Bill will need to sign once you approve. So let me look and see how we did this. Okay, so you will need to approve and have the president, and I think I have one in here for the attorney that to sign also for the 2026 DART grant submission. And it includes certification of use and project equipment and facilities, categorical exclusion classification of capital projects checklist, an authorizing resolution 2025-R-5, which authorizes the application to be submitted. There's a warranty special section 5333B, warranty list of public transportation providers and labor unions, local financial certifications and assurances, section 533139 pass-through agreement and certifications and assurances required of every applicant with a whole list. So if you approve all of those documents for the 26th grant submission, then you'll be covered. I need both of those actually.
And then I am just waiting on one more document. It's the FTA assurances. NDOT noticed an error in the formatting they sent. It had year 24. So I'm just waiting for them to update it and send the new one. Once I get it, I'll forward it on to Susan because I'll need that one signed as well.
What was that?
The FTA assurances. I just haven't been able to send it to you.
I need this.
Ready for a motion, though?
Yeah.
You ready for a motion?
I'm ready.
I'll so make them, so moved, the motion that Susan had. To accept all paperwork due for the grant process.
For the 2026 DART
2026
grant
grant
submission.
A motion and a second on the floor. Additional comments? Comments from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Do you know what the date is that your grant has to be submitted?
May 16th.
16th. And you might have said this, but I wasn't paying attention. Did your board approve it?
They are approving it right now as we speak, as we go through. I'm just waiting for, I think the 14th of May is when I go in and finalize it with the board with our budget and everything.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of financials that are involved in it that they got to go through and approve as well.
Okay. We've got a bunch of this that needs to sign.
Is that it? Is that all? I just kidding.
Perfect.
On here, so can we just scan it to you?
Yep, that'll work.
Or we can let you know when we're done and if you want the actual.
Either or I'm good with, yeah, as long as I get them submitted.
You'll have it.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you.
All right, any other questions for me while I'm up here?
Questions, comments?
All righty, well,
go.
thank you, guys.
Thanks.
I'll see you next quarter too, yep.
Okay. Okay. Drop down to the farmer's market, DABA insurance. We got Andrew, I think that was,
He provided the information that they have you on as additionally insured. And,
Through?
all in order, and
I think so.
yep. And then we have the updated MOU with them that we will need to approve and have you sign.
one at a time. Except the insurance. Can do it together?
I think that I don't think you have to accept it. You had originally approved the MOU contingent if they had that last year, and now we show that they have it, so I really think you just have to approve the MOU.
Did they, Andrew,
Thank you.
did they add us as an additional assured? I don't see it on here.
Okay, there was a page that I've seen come in
It's-
with it at the bottom left.
It's with it.
Okay, there it is, yeah.
Okay.
It must be cut off on mine. Okay.
I have to reprint that.
Taking a
Okay, well,
motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Is that Susan?
No, I didn't.
You have a motion?
Yeah, there's,
You do the motion on the MOU.
who motioned?
I did.
Who okay,
Ready?
yep, go for it.
Okay, new motion on the MOU.
I got it,
You got it?
yeah.
Okay. We have a second? Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries. Okay. Last item, Sunny Meadows video policy / contract.
You guys get a chance to look at the policy that I have set up.
I did.
Questions?
Yeah, well, not questions so much as things I believe need changed. Under permitted uses, it'll be bullet point number 3, very end of the first line. Says misconduct or violations of company policy. I think that should be changed to county policy.
So I don't even know what you guys are looking at. Oh yeah, Jim, you need to pull your mic up because you're softer spoken, so they're not picking you up very well.
Most people don't say that.
I know.
Just sent to you, Susan.
Okay. Bill needs to
A little background on this. Beza and I were talking last week, but put this kind of together, had Andrew take a peek at it. Right, Andrew, you had looked at this?
I have
Took a peek at
a
it.
couple of times, I think.
Yeah, we kind of been back and forth with this contract, just more of a policy to just have, now that we have video cameras out at Sunny Meadows and be recording, that we need to have some kind of policy. This was kind of put together, so that's some background information, anybody that's watching. Yeah, Susan?
So are we changing something?
Andrew's looking at it, I believe. Have you?
I've
what's your
already reviewed it, and I'm
But Jim's got
You
some.
okay with company rather than county?
okay with county rather than company, yes.
With county.
Okay, where was that?
Okay,
Because
under
county is the company, and company makes it sound like it's a for-profit enterprise. Yep.
under permitted uses,
Okay.
number 3, bullet point, at the very end, it says violations of company.
Got it.
Should either be DeKalb County or county policy. DeKalb County would be get more specific, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then, under the review and denial, or review and approval.
Uh-huh.
Just my suggestion, should we add approval, should also come from legal counsel, part of the approval denial.
It's all up to you guys. If you want to include legal counsel, you can.
Well, I'm just trying to protect us, if nothing else, to make sure.
I mean, I think if you can, I think yeah.
The reason we had county IT for that is that they'd be heavily involved, they'd be the ones to reach out to. And I think when we talked, I think it's a good point, I think when we had a conversation about it, that they would, if they had any questions, that they would reach out to Andrew or myself, or the commissioners, so. I'm fine having that language, and I think they'd make.
Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to exclude IT.
No, I know what you're saying. I was just,
So-
why we had it the way it was.
So in the review, do you
Approved
want
council.
something in there with,
Would just,
the county IT department will review the request to ensure it complies with this policy, is permitted for the use and sufficiently specific, as well as something to do with legal.
legal counsel.
I mean, anybody can ask for anything, but if we legally shouldn't be giving it out.
Well, up top, we have a list of the things that who can ask for what,
Oh,
up top.
I,
It's okay. It's kind of got put together at the last minute here. Yeah, authorized personnel have access. It tells who can access it and for what reason. We have Sunny Meadow staff, director, HR, legal department, county commissioner and county auditor, IS, and law enforcement. If they don't fit those criteria, then it's denied. However Andrew wants to
so I am gonna.
word that.
I am gonna change the county IT to IS, because you, or vice versa, because you have IS and IT in different places in here.
So Jim, are you suggesting that if a Sunny Meadow staff wants to access the live view for work-related activities, they would have to call legal counsel first? Like, or how detailed are you wanting that to be?
No, I don't think that's
I'm
necessary.
assuming that part isn't necessary.
No, I don't think that's necessary. I just want to make sure that if somebody is accessing it, that, and is going to use it for documentation, that at least you be notified.
Okay, so,
And it doesn't have to be, that's just my thought.
we could put down, you mean like if anybody is accessing it for any reason, they need to notify the county attorney? It just depends on what you want. There's day-to-day viewing of it, that they may view it from their desk, right? Whoever is managing the.
No, I don't think that's necessary. I just, if they're going to,
Access the old footage, they could, depending on what you want to do, they could either have to get county attorney approval, or they could have to get
my biggest
HR approval, or.
well, my biggest concern is that they're accessing it and using it for whatever purpose that may be outside of what
Is allowable.
allowable. Just, I want to make sure the county is protected.
We could put language in there that for any access other than viewing live footage, approval has to be given by the county attorney. I mean, you can put that in there. That would also affect the sheriff's department looking into criminal investigations too as well. Or we could exempt them out if you wanted to do that. Let's see. So you could put that for permitted uses for accessing footage. You could add a sentence in front of that stating any access to saved video footage other than by sheriff's department or sheriff's office, must be approved by the county attorney first. Is that what you're talking about, maybe?
That'd be
Okay. Yep. Up to whether everybody wants to have that language or different language.
You okay with that?
Yeah. I think putting that before putting it under the heading permitted uses for accessing footage and then starting that sentence there before the first sentence of access is permitted for the following reasons. I think that would maybe accomplish that for the policy.
Okay.
fine. So one other one, under viewing and handling procedures, under the copying, exporting, 1, 2, 3, it's the fourth line down, it says company's data. And it should be DeKalb County's data. My only recommendation.
Could we update those, change everything around, and then get a new one sent out to us and look at it after break? And then go back to then improving it, so we don't have to do all these?
I just need to get his wording, otherwise I have everything else updated.
Yeah, so you guys can work on, maybe we can do that, and then
We can do that.
we can all read it again one more time and then improve it. Because I'd like to get it taken care of today, since we're getting the cameras put in this week.
We
But
can do
I
that.
want to see all the changes we just made, so we made sure that we're all on the same page of it.
We can do that.
You guys don't mind?
I'm good with that. Okay, anything else? Anyone before we go to break? Sure, absolutely, come on up.
Andrew Provines, 3920 County Road 75. I just had a general question. I hate to go back to the redevelopment commission, but I understand the desire to have a generational farmer involved in that board, but I want to know, you had mentioned, Jim, that there are funds, or they're able to access those funds now. What are you talking about? I don't know if I missed something in legislature.
Yep. Yes. Part of the requirements for agriculture were that you must, well, not agriculture, part of the redevelopment fund, one of the criteria is that you must add employees previous to them changing the law. You had to have, we'll just say a new corps was going to do an expansion. Part of the application process is how many employees are you going to add? And agriculture could never meet that criteria because in the case of Brand's Dairy up here to my north, or the north end of the county, that put in a brand new, and I won't be exact, $1.3 million facility. They actually are not adding new employees. They're just relocating because they have automatic milkers now, so they don't need the employees doing the actual milking that's off of the cows and all that. It's done automatically. So that money that they're spending, 1.3 million or 1.6, whatever that number is, didn't qualify because they did not add new employees. That was part of the application process. And that's why I was denied.
The application for what?
For redevelopment funds. You could never access redevelopment funds
Are you referring more for like a tax abatement?
and/or tax abatement.
The redevelopment commission doesn't deal with tax abatements, they deal with TIFs. So that can either be spent for, in 2023, the legislation opened it up for fire and police, but public safety. But still, that's not agriculture. The only way that I can find that agriculture would benefit would be infrastructure improvements. So you could spend TIF dollars on infrastructure improvements, but that's not opening up the funding to agriculture. So I wondered if you were talking about abatements, but the redevelopment commission doesn't have a say in abatements.
Granted, but you could never get redevelopment funds either. Agriculture was not included, has never been included until the state legislature changed the law.
When did they change that?
Oh, guys, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Okay. Susan, do you know of any change? I want to know. I want to go look it up.
I can look into it. I don't have
Yeah.
anything right off the top of my head.
I mean, I would just be interested. I'm trying to educate myself more. I've just never run across a scenario where
I can see
farmers
what I
are able to access TIF funding for anything. That's my
I
question.
can see what I can find.
Okay. Everywhere I look, it says that it's always indirect in Indiana, and it's still indirect where it's, if a TIF wanted to spend money in the TIF for infrastructure, then that would indirectly benefit a farmer. So I don't, if the case is where they're not directly getting TIF funding, I mean, I don't see the need specifically for it to have to be a generational farmer. I just don't see that need. So, general question.
Well, we disagree then.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine.
Hey, Andrew. Okay, anything else?
All right, just looking to get the Q1 invoice signed and to take with me today. All the others can be sent to me.
Okay. Yeah, give me a few minutes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else?
I think y'all need to go to break so that I can
Okay.
catch up.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break.
Thank you.
Susan, catch up. vacuum truck over there in the sewer. Vacuum truck, yeah.
We're ready when you are.
Okay, let's get this show on the road, Ben. What you got?
There we go. Is the bids for the covered bridge project. I give you guys all a bid tab that I put together from the different bids from the 4 bidders. And reviewing those, looking through them, all of them but one missed a performance bond that was written in the bid spec. In our bid spec, under item 2, it said the contractor shall be fully insured and have proof of insurance submitted with a bid along with State Board of Accounts approved Form 96, performance bond and payment bond in the amount of 10% of the total bid is required. All of them but one did not submit a performance bond. So one did. And there's some other stuff missed on a couple others, but that's the main one. I talked to Mr. Cruz about that. He recommends it, and rightfully so, we reject them 3. If we accept one, it would be RG Zachrich, because they submitted a complete full bid for the roof project per the specifications. So.
Okay, wait, you said there was all but one that didn't what?
Didn't submit a performance bond.
Thank you.
So there was only one company out of the 4 that completed everything.
Right. Zachrich was the higher bid of the 4. We have done a lot of work with them in the past. They have always done us a great job. They've always come in real low on a lot of the bridge projects that they bid on in the past years, you guys are aware of. Just this one, for whatever reason, they was a little higher on, but they are the only ones that submitted a complete bid per our specifications. So I think if we was to accept any, we would have to accept the Zachrich bid, because the specifications was not followed by the other ones. I think we could have a big issue if we chose another one. I don't know if Andrew wants to say anything, or.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think the safest bet is to reject the bids that are not completed. I mean, they know what they're supposed to do. There's a checklist. But you obviously have the ability, I think, to reject all the bids if that's what you want to do as well.
We have that too. You could reject all bids. We could rebid it. I don't know if that caused any hard feelings, if anybody would rebid or not, or these ones may not. I'm sure somebody probably would, or then everybody knows everybody's numbers now. You know, we would not be the first one to reject and rebid.
One of the other bidders had a different type of wood, right? OSB instead of plywood?
Yes.
So that would be one reason to reject theirs, is they didn't comply with the requirements that were in the.
Yeah, one didn't have a signed bid bond. The other one had the wrong material. I mean, there's more than just a performance bond on a few of them.
The only reservation I have about this is that we've already got one legitimate bid, and it's quite a bit higher. And you know, it's just, it kind of takes, I don't know, I'm just.
Is the other ones lower because they didn't do all the things that needed to be done too?
Possible.
I mean, like not having the bonds, not having the right
It wouldn't be
supplies and
that
stuff
much
like.
lower though. It's
I don't know.
quite a bit, it's quite a bit. I mean, the OSB compared to the plywood wouldn't be a great amount, but it would be some, but that's my only reservation. I'm not saying we shouldn't accept it.
You know, one of them talked about running scaffolding down through the river to get up on the roof. I mean, it's their liability by doing that, but if we get a big rain.
Do they have to get a permit from DNR to do that?
It's in stream, they should, but that's on them.
And do we know what Zachary would do to handle this?
They was gonna use the false work, hang off the side of the top braces.
And not try to rely on something down
Right.
It'll be
to
hung off the
a
bridge.
rushing river?
Yeah, they'll hang off the bridge. Yeah.
So they had the safest plan.
Zachary is a bridge builder. They've got the tools and equipment to do that. I'm not so sure the other ones have that, because they're mainly roofers. I'm not sure if they have that, that not all of them specified that in their bid.
Well, in Zachary, you did do the rehab on the bridge, the new floor and the
Yes.
abutment on the
They know what they're
east
getting, they
end.
know what they're getting into, I don't.
Yeah, so they're familiar with it.
Like I said, I'm comfortable with Zachary doing it. It's just, it's more money.
But it's still less than the budgeted amount,
Yes,
well within the budget.
yes. We budgeted 200,000 for this project. So it's still less than what was budgeted.
Budgeted. What do you think, gentlemen?
To me, they're the only one that did the proper process and paperwork, and I think as a council, commissioners, we have to just stick with that, I mean. So, because now his bid number's out there, that if we try to rebid it, it's gonna hurt them for doing the proper procedure.
Sure.
So, to me, I would accept Zachary.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept Zachary's contract for work on the covered bridge, roof and
Covered bridge roof.
fascia, right? We're doing the fascia on this? Yes.
Second.
A motion and second on the floor. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. We get paper for you guys to sign, and then I will get moving with it.
We're gonna do the fascia, additional for the fascia
Yes.
Yeah, I had to, that's part of my motion,
included.
because it's only, they're the cheapest fascia.
Yeah, they had the only realistic price
This is
on
on the Form 96 for accepting the bid. I'll need all three of you to sign right here. And then Susan, I'll scan this whole bid to you.
Thank you.
Next thing I had is I emailed you guys last week about the contract extension for NDOT on the County Road 56 project. So is what this is doing, this is going to extend our contract time from June 30th to July 1st, 2026. The reasoning for that is one, a couple minor things. The grading needs to be redone from the heavy rains, some seeding, make sure that gets established. And then two, clear at the west end of the P area where that was removed, we have opening in the asphalt that's opening up. It's probably about an inch wide now, 10 to 12 feet long. It started late last fall. We went out and crack filled it, been monitoring it. It's opening up more, but it's not settling. It's not showing signs of base issue. It's not shoving. I'm not exactly sure why it's doing what it's doing. We met out there a few weeks ago and talked to the engineers, and I had a recommendation that we go through and we remove the asphalt, remove a foot of the stone, geogrid it, and then rebuild back up from that and then monitor it. So with extending this contract, that will keep our federal funds available for an extra year in case this issue progresses in that area. It's not a big area, but it's enough, I feel, that NDOT's willing to do this, it would be good for us to go ahead and take that. That way we can do the repair, hopefully this spring, then monitor it and see what it does. And then if it needs something additional, we can do it and still get 80% funds for it. If we do this fix and everybody's happy, if we want to close out early, we can. We don't have to take this out till the end of July or July next year, but it would be my recommendation we probably do to monitor that area. This is all going to be sent DocuSign. It will be sent to the president per the resolution that we did 3 or 4 years ago for the president of the commissioners to sign on behalf of the commissioners. So what I'm asking today is that if this contract's supposed to be sent back to me today, Andrew's reviewed it, I sent it to you guys, it's going to be the same contract, except it's going to extend the date out to July 26th instead of just doing 4 months. So if you guys are okay with that, I'd like for you to approve Bill to sign the DocuSign when it comes. It's important that we get this all completed through us and through NDOT before our expiration date. So it goes through the NDOT peers and gets signed, and just that way we're on top of it instead of waiting another 2 weeks, if you guys are okay with that.
Okay, so these dates that don't say anything about 2026, are those different?
They're going to change, yes. This is
Got it.
this is the first vision. I have not gotten an updated version yet.
Got it.
12 months.
Right.
Okay.
So when I get the new one, I'll send it to you, the draft one, and then,
Oh, it doesn't matter. Once he signs, then as long
once
as
we
I
get the
get
executed
the,
one,
yeah, as long as I get the executed one, I was just trying to follow what you were saying.
yeah, it'll be a little while before we get the executed one back.
Yeah.
I would so move that we allow president to do the DocuSign to do the extension as presented.
I'll second.
A motion and second on the floor. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Okay.
When it comes, I will sign.
Okay. Next thing I have, I'll take a copy and send down. I got a quote I'd like to move forward with. This is a quote I got from API to mill and overlay Auburn Drive from Auburn's city limits to State Road 8. This price is based off of the CCMG for County Road 35 this year. That's how we got the numbers in here and why we don't have to bid it. In this, since they are there, we're going to save the MOB and demob charges to come in and out, which is a pretty substantial savings. That's going to be paid for from the County Road 35 project because they're already going to be there. Auburn is also doing their sections of Auburn Drive from where we stop down to Wayne Street, I believe. So ours will be the last section that's not done if we don't move forward with it. Auburn's is broke up between this year and next year. I'd have to clarify which two they are, but they're getting done this year and next year. Our section's starting to ravel and alligate pretty good. It would be good to get on it. It is a major detour through Auburn, and it does have quite a bit of traffic on it. They quoted $220,000 to do that. And that's off our bid price for our CCMG, which is going to be a substantially lower number than I would get bidding this lower project, have them come in. So I would like to go ahead and move forward with them doing that this year. I've got the money in my budget for it. If you guys concur, I'll give them the blessing to move forward.
That part right there.
How would this coincide with the redo of 7th Street? When the state does 7th Street, State Road 8,
Yeah, they did that 2 years ago. Put that in.
out here,
We have
you
nothing.
gonna redo that?
I don't know.
Okay.
On the east side.
Yeah, this clears the east end. Because that State Road 8 was paved 2 years ago out there.
My question is, if they tear this up, that's gonna get more use. We don't want them all tore up at the same time, is where I'd be concerned. But that may not be the situation. I'm not sure. And that might be next year.
Yeah, I don't know, Bill. They don't always give me all them dates unless I call down specifically request.
So what piece is this? I don't have that, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, pass through my copy.
Okay, what do you think, gentlemen? Like,
Would so move we accept the asphalt paving bid as presented.
a motion second on the floor, additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a time?
They're planning on starting County Road 35 mid-July.
Mid-July.
So that's what the schedule is now, so this will be around that time frame.
Right, okay.
Last thing I have for you on my list, just to let you know, Monday, May 5th starts our 10-hour days. So,
Okay.
and that's all I have for you guys today that I remember.
Anything for Ben? You're good to go, Ben. Thanks.
Okay.
Close the bridge when they're working on that roof, I assume.
What's that now?
Close the bridge when they work on that roof, I assume?
Yes. Yes, we will close the road. I need to get with, if Zachary's got the bid, check our dates. I want to get a relatively time frame when he wants to do that. I got to make sure our bridge is not rented for that time frame. And if it is, we'll have to
Change,
work with that, yeah.
deal with that.
So, Susan, you let me know if you need anything. I'll email you whatever you need.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Ben.
Yep,
Thanks, Ben.
yep, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, insurance trustees, insurance renewal. You're on board.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay, Ben.
No, we just need one.
Thank you.
Right. Yep.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having us. We are here to cover the county insurance renewal for the package. As you know, the work comp comes up in January, the cyber came up in February, which we extended to match up with this date. So this is going to be property, liability, police professional, umbrella, things of that nature is what we're going to talk about today. If you guys have any questions throughout, obviously you're more than welcome to have some open dialogue as we kind of go through things. But we will try to go through each section of coverage, the limits we have, deductibles, things of that nature. We'll talk a little bit about carriers that we went to and kind of what the response was from the different carriers as we went to market. I think overall we have good news for the renewal. As you guys know, the insurance market hasn't been favorable for a few years, and the public sector, on top of that, hasn't been any better. So we did go to market. Travelers is the carrier that was on it this prior year. This is the first year we wrote it with them. Our recommendation is to stay with them. They had the best option by far. But we can talk a little bit more about specifics on that front. I think big picture-wise, the county has a good, not great loss ratio. So I think it's hovering right around 40%, which an insurance carrier would say is profitable, but you know we do have claims activity on various lines at the same time. So when I say it's good, not great, I mean that exactly how it sounds. We're still in a favorable marketing position, so when we do go to carriers, we are a good option for them. We're not limiting ourselves for the most part because we have such high claims. But we do have claims activity that we have to, that affects pricing and affects what the underwriters are looking at. So, I mean, I think all things considered, we're in a good spot. When we've had some of the other brokers in here recently, obviously they've wanted to look at markets, and they've all came back to Travelers, and a potential AOR is their best option as well. So I think we feel pretty confident that we're in the best spot for the county for this year. But obviously that's something that we just continually look at for you every year and do our due diligence as always to make sure we're finding the best option for you guys. Mike, you have anything on kind of the big picture stuff on the front end that might be helpful?
I think the insurance marketplace in the municipal business is up somewhere between 15 and 30% this year.
Yeah, we got some competition out here. Yeah, bring your mic
Okay.
up a little.
It's up, the industry's up in the municipal business somewhere between 15 and 30%. The good news is, as Kyle will share with you, is going to be significantly less than that. I think one of the challenges that we have in this marketplace, if we spin the clock back, there was a period of about 20 years that the county's rates stayed within about a 10% range. And it just, even when exposures changed, we'd have claims, but there were so many carriers that we could choose from that we were able to get a lot of different options and keep the premiums significantly lower than where we're at. We've had a number of events that have occurred since that time that have changed this marketplace. I think COVID really exposed some of the how insurance carriers were undervaluing their product because of the cost to repair things. It's just really been picking up the last couple, 4 years. Your rates have seen probably a 25-year catch-up is what it looks like. Now, that's not really not good use for you, because when you consider we budgeted within that narrow range for 20 years, it's not helpful that we're catching up now. One of the other challenges that I see that we have today is that, again, we probably could have picked from 20 different carriers 15 years ago, and there's just not that many now. Now, we're in probably a hard market. They're hoping the market's going to change sometime, but sometimes hard markets last a fair amount of time. I think the other, from my perspective, the good news that you guys have chosen to continue with insurance trustees is that we do understand the exposures the county has. A lot of times our competitors will look at your coverage and they'll just want to duplicate what you have today, but they don't understand the why we have those coverages in place. And if you don't understand the why that you have it, you really can't provide adequate insurance exposures. I think Kyle's involvement in the safety committee and meeting with your department heads and other things is really, in my mind, has given you guys an edge to keep your renewal at a lower rate. So it was a long story to get around the barn, but I think we're in a good place, as good as we could be at this point.
Any questions from any of you guys before we kind of jump into coverage lines and talk through specifics on anything? Okay.
Well, just a question on Indian Harbor.
Yeah.
How is that connected with Travelers? I guess
Yeah, that's a good question. So Travelers is on what we would call a commercial package. That's property, general liability, some of the professional coverages, umbrella, auto.
Okay.
Where Travelers did not offer, and this was last year, offer a quote on the police professional.
That was the deal. So Indian Harbor, we had
for
to
a
get
variety of
separate
reasons,
police
which we'll
coverage.
get into. But Indian Harbor then picked up the coverage for that.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a monoline option.
Yep, cool. Yeah. I just had a question. Thank you.
Yep. All righty. So let's hop in. The first section is the property section. You can see there we've got a blanket of our buildings and BPP of $83,589,803. 2 pages back from that is our statement of values, where all that's substantiated by building, by business personal property, so on and so forth. Some things to note here. We did add the county highway department mid-year last year. So that was about, I believe, 11 million in statement of values increase year over year. So you'll see that once we get to the pricing page, as we're talking through it, that's being realized for annualized this year. We have a $10,000 deductible, and what I can tell you is that that's the best option by far that we've seen from talking to the carriers. We spoke with Liberty Mutual, who was on the county the prior 3 years, as you remember, and they were mandating a $25,000 property deductible. They're also mandating a $100,000 wind hail deductible. So what a wind hail deductible is specific to exactly what it sounds like, wind and hail, and you get these convective storms or these high wind storms nowadays. A lot of roof damage, a lot of siding damage, things of that nature that come from the wind. So carriers are pivoting towards, if it's a wind hail activity, there's a $100,000 deductible that comes with it. The other thing that it does, which is really difficult, is it's by location. So if we had a wind event in, Auburn or here in DeKalb County, and we had 7 different buildings that were hit by it, that wind hail deductible is going to hit for all of them. Whereas Travelers is not going to mandate the wind hail deductible. They're not mandating, I should say. And we just have a $10,000 property deductible. So it's very manageable, and at time of claim could be a huge difference between what the other insurance carriers are offering versus what Travelers is offering this year. I did ask him about a higher deductible just for premium savings. It saved nominal, a couple percent on the premium. We're strongly recommending keeping that deductible lower. I think there's going to be probably future years where they're going to tell us that we need to increase it, and then we'll be able to use it as a bargaining chip through our negotiations at that renewal. But for now, I think we're in the right spot as far as deductible structures. Business income extra expense, that's going to be that, either a fire or tornado, things of that nature, where this county building or any of the buildings are no longer operational. It's going to be extra expenses that the county incurs to get back up and running. We're going to replace the building. We already know that. Contents coverage. But what other extra expenses come with that as we need to look at a separate building to work out of, or you name it, that's where that coverage is going to kick in and provide coverage for.
And I think one of the significant areas this comes into play is the jail. If the jail would ever come uninhabitable because of a loss by an insured peril, all these inmates would have to be put somewhere else at your expense, and we would pay those expenses out of this number. And that's really, could be a significant number.
Yeah. So we've got a $5 million limit there. We've held steady there for, when I looked back, about 3 to 4 years. We've been comfortable at that number. Sometimes it can be a hard number to truly gauge, especially for a public entity. We can increase it or we could lower it. It's a number that we can set with the carrier within reason. But we've been comfortable at 5 million. If you guys had opinions on whether that could be enough, or if you want to have ongoing conversations about that, I'd be happy to do that. But that's where that limit's set at for now, is 5 million.
What do you think about that number, commissioners?
I'm good with it.
How much would it change if we went up with it, down with it?
Yeah, it normally stays pretty consistent with the property rate. So you might, for like another $1 million, it might be $2,000.
I think, what would you have any idea what it would cost to house an inmate somewhere else at this time?
We do. We house a couple inmates. Don't we house a few other inmates in different jails?
Neighboring jails, yeah.
So we have an idea what that would be.
Is that a significant number now?
$37.50 a day. Is that right? Is that still?
We have, 80 people in there? So
It's probably a fairly good number.
Usually 90.
Okay. And that's just the jail exposure. If this building was not operational for 6 months, what happens? There's extra expenses that come with that, obviously, as well. It's all going to go into that bucket for that coverage limit. Okay?
I think that's a good number.
now would that cover the expenses for the officers? The wages of the officers, since we'd be,
You're still going to be,
scenario, we would send everybody else out, what would the officers be doing?
you're still, I would assume the officers are still going to be working. It's not going to, it would, maybe I'm wrong, Mike, and you can correct me. I don't see a scenario where those officers would be laid off, so they're still going to be working.
It would still come out of your budget.
Yeah,
Insurance want to help.
yeah.
The issue you'd have.
Jail officers, they work in the jail. If the jail's not there,
Yeah, that would be included in this, in the extra expenses.
That's what I was asking.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. That's what my question was.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
Theoretically, you could keep paying them because that's part of your budget.
yeah, that way they're not going somewhere
The
else.
only extra cost is this,
Facility.
be like 108,000 a month, maybe.
Yeah.
To house them for.
Send them out. Yeah.
The way to think about this is it's going to pay your, those non-continuing expenses. If something happened at the jail, you're not going to pay any electric bills there anymore. So if you think about your jail cost, but anything over and above those non-continuing expenses, we're going to take care of for you.
Ordinance and law coverage, we have at 2 million. The standard travelers number is 500,000 is what they offer. We've increased that to 2 million. We've had that set at 2 million for quite a while. And what ordinance and law coverage does is it provides, if there was a major issue or there's any property damage to this, a building like this in particular that was built a long time ago, when they go to pull permits and then do the work, they come and say, well, now to do the work and make the changes or make the, fix the errors or fix the damages, you're gonna now have to do sprinklers in the ceilings or whatever the new ordinance or laws mandate that you do. We're gonna pay for the building damages, but this is a coverage that's additional to that. So if you're not coming out of pocket to do those additional items. So normally with newer buildings, it's not as big of an issue, but when you insure a lot of older buildings, it can be a big ticket item, especially for someone like the county. We've got sewer drain backup at 50,000. Law enforcement animals, 25,000 for any one animal, 100,000 for if there was multiples at any one occurrence. That's something that's baked into the policy form. It's not something we can pull out. Equipment breakdown at 250,000, and then utility services. If there was a failure of like an electricity line coming into the building type item, we'd have a $100,000 limit for water, communication, or power supply. Okay, so that's the first page of property. Got one more. We do have earthquake coverage for 5 million, and we also have flood coverage for the county. You can see the floods broken out. They base it off of perceived flood zones or established flood zones. So we've got $5 million for those top items or those top addresses, and the bottom addresses we'd have a $2.5 million aggregate limit, just because they're a higher likelihood to flood based off of flood maps. Once again, those are numbers, I believe they're adequate, but they're numbers that we've had now for a handful of years. I don't see any need to increase them, but they're there when needed. Got anything else on the property section, Mike?
The only thing I wanted to go back to is on business income. That is a 12-month limit. It only pays for 12 months, so we need to anticipate that. I don't think we can get that extended. So if the jail there would be damage to any of the buildings, that business income that you would lose or extra expense really would end after 12 months, and likely it could take longer than that.
Yeah.
To replace one of your structures.
Yeah.
We did quote the property out monoline. When I say monoline, we're just going to carrier for one specific coverage line. With Cincinnati, we wrote a neighboring county monoline property with Cincinnati just last year, so we know that they can be competitive, a similar size county. They were more than double what Traveler's property quote was. The main driver of that was county home in a property class 10, and then the county jail being older and the conditions of it drove their prices up for what it's worth. And then we also went monoline for a property quote from Chubb, who can also do counties for monoline, and they did not give us a quote. They didn't go through the whole quoting process just because they said when they saw the rate, they couldn't be competitive. So they didn't take the time to process that. That makes sense. Okay. Third page, this is something.
Question.
Yeah, go for it.
So on the earthquake coverage, we have 5 million with a $2,500 deductible. If we have stuff above that, like the extra expense, that's a separate.
This is a completely separate coverage line, the earthquake.
Okay, so we say we have an earthquake, just for my verifications, the extra expense would not kick into that. It's just 5 million for the earthquake.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Statement of values is broken out. We keep this for you guys internally, and then we get this with the carrier. One nice thing, we get agreed value when we keep the statement of values for you guys. So the price is the price. There's no co-insurance penalties at time of claim. If the building's at 10 million, we have $10 million worth of funds. It's also blanketed. So if one building, let's say 401, the county home garage, let's say the jail, 13 million. If it ended up being 14 million, we'd have additional funds from that overall 83 million to pull from. Since it's blanket, it's like a bucket of money that we can pull from. The carrier will have us make sure that these limits are correct, and they are, and we update them every year. But it is a better way to write property coverage to make sure that, once again, we're not coming out of pocket or a shortfall at time of claim. Yeah.
I don't know that I've heard of that before.
Yeah, and that's how we've written it, with Liberty Mutual as well. I wouldn't say it's uncommon, but it's the best way to write it for the county.
You have county home chapel and county home in here? I thought this is just for the building out there, the liability is the separate?
Liability separate.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Yep, so Travelers is covering the property, they're just not offering general liability or professional liability coverage for it.
Clarifying that, thank you.
Yep. Good question. Next two pages I won't spend much time on, but these are the property extension, deluxe property extension that Travelers adds. You can see we've requested some higher limits on that far right column. We talked about the ordinance and law coverage. I know we had a situation last year with wind where we had a tree that got blown over, a couple trees. We have our property deductible. For one tree, we may not meet the property deductible, but it kind of breaks out how those coverages work in the event that we have maybe 20 trees that would go down that we want to replace. Any of those jump off the page at you, Mike, that would be worth commenting on? I think it's pretty vanilla stuff here. Okay. Inland marine coverages. This is going to be equipment or items that are leaving the premises. So it might be police officers, what they have in their vehicles riding around, or I think there's some voting items that might leave premises at times.
Voting?
Voting.
Voting, okay.
Voting, yeah, like the machines.
They said voting.
Yeah. And then obviously anything like the county highway department might have as they're out doing work on the roads. That's where all this is going to come into play. We keep a schedule for you. I think Sue's in sleeper and Sue's in Korchik in our office communicate back and forth as changes happen. There's a lot of items on here. You can see the scheduled items are just over $1 million. We keep that updated in real time for you guys. You can kind of see the breakouts there, radios and different pieces of equipment. Scheduled contractors equipment is just over $2 million. You can see that listed here as well. I think that's generally the county highway department is most of those items. A couple other things that we have on this coverage form with Travelers. We've got unscheduled owned equipment at $100,000. So that would mean if we have a tractor or a bobcat or something that doesn't make it on the schedule for whatever reason, we'd have $100,000 for any unscheduled item, one item. Okay, kind of a security blanket for that. And we also have $150,000 for unscheduled equipment owned by others, and that's leased rented equipment. So if you rent a lift or you rent a piece of equipment from Sunbelt Rental or McAllister, things of that nature, that's gonna, you have up to $150,000 worth of coverage there. Generally in that type of scenario, McAllister, whoever the third party is gonna request a certificate of insurance saying this is a $80,000 piece of equipment, send over a certificate of insurance. Our office gets that, intercepts that request, and then we send out your coverage certificate showing that we have the adequate coverage for it.
Isn't that usually covered by a separate insurance policy that's charged to the renter when you rent a piece of equipment?
You can, so you can buy the insurance through like a McAllister, whoever that third party is. Generally, it's at a higher rate when you do that, or this is just a blanket item that's on the inland marine schedule. So no matter how many times you do it or what the number is, up to $150,000, we just send a certificate of insurance on your behalf showing that you have coverage.
Because our maintenance people rent a lift.
Okay.
So twice a year, and I wonder if they're paying that insurance, or if they realize we're covered under this.
Yeah, and that's Larry. Would he be the contact for that? I know that we send them out on your behalf, so that we currently doing it from time to time, but I can follow up with Larry just to make sure he understands that coverage, so that we're not maybe double covering
Right.
an item.
You send one to, say, like Taylor Rental, and just have it as a blanket one, hey, this is good for the year?
Normally, once you send it, they're gonna keep it on file, yeah, and they'll know that you have that coverage, because you're gonna have the policy dates on the,
Yeah, with my business, we tend to do that with you guys. So I
Exactly.
didn't know if we could do it the same. with
Yeah.
this. Okay.
Taylor rental, I think they rent from the Waterloo rental, equipment rental.
And one every year.
Yeah.
I do 5 visits every year, and just so it's done.
and the way our certificates work is once we send one out, our system automatically at the next renewal will generate a new certificate to send out. And it doesn't hurt to send out a certificate to them, even if it's not being used, but normally we have it ready, so when it's needed, we just send it over for you guys. Real simple process.
Okay.
Make a note to contact Larry. Okay, and I think, Susan, has this been gone through in the last calendar year, this list? It's an Excel spreadsheet? Okay, yeah. I know it's been
That gets done every.
in real time?
year. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if there's ever inconsistencies or some changes that need to be made, obviously just let us know.
Will do.
Crime section, Mike, do you want to handle the crime section? Employee theft?
You know, we can go through that. Currently, we have $250,000 of coverage for an employee theft. If, whether employee was acting individually or in part with another person, it will pay for a loss because of that. Forgery alteration coverage, we have $100,000 of coverage for that. The simple example, you write a check to me for $1,000. I doctor it up, go to my bank, and they cash it for $100,000. And somehow my bank honors it, and they get the money from you. We'll pay for that. That's probably not going to likely happen. These are coverages that are part of it. Your bank's going to protect you with that. They should anyway protect you with that. The one question is always, we have on this coverage more than any is the money and securities coverage, which we have $75,000 limit on that. And that is for, in the biggest time when you're collecting property taxes, would our daily deposits ever exceed that amount? And is that an adequate number? That would be my concern.
Which line item was that?
It's called inside and outside. It's theft of money and securities.
I think we discussed that.
I think we
We
discussed.
did. I think we ran this down last year.
I say we'd have
We ran it down
to,
last year. Yep.
that would be a treasurer question,
Okay.
but
It's all three.
Property taxes have gone up. Is the only question, is something always to think of.
I'll send Sandy an email right now.
Okay, great.
Sounds great.
Or not Sandy, Joni.
These are not,
yes.
these limits don't carry a ton of premium, and we can adjust them, so we just want it to be the right amount for the county.
You could go to 150,000 probably for a few $100s a year, if the exposure is that. And my understanding is that there's probably, when they make a deposit, there's a deputy that typically goes with it. Used to be in the past.
No.
They don't do that any longer? Okay.
That was because they were walking it over, and we aren't with that bank any longer.
Okay.
But there's so much,
Mine is-
I don't know how much cash there actually is anymore. A lot of it's online or credit card payments, or the checks are scanned.
You have a scan check.
Yeah.
Yeah, this coverage, I don't want to say it's outdated. It used to be a bigger issue when people collected a lot of cash and checks.
Yeah.
Now everything's virtual or online for the most part, so it's, but if there's an exposure there, we obviously want to take care of it.
Cover it.
Basically, I'm asking, do you typically have more than 75,000
Yeah.
in cash on any given day?
Well, I
Cash and
think it would
checks.
be, what is your deposit?
Yeah, 'cause it might be multiple. I'm not sure the
What is
frequency.
you take to the bank, on a given day?
Is it just cash and checks? Just actual cash? Because
I
our
think it's
checks
cash
are
and
scanned.
checks, right?
It's money and securities. Securities would be cash, checks.
Yeah.
If you make it.
Simple to make a tweak there if we need to.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Next section is the general liability section, and some of the professional coverages that come with that. We have $1 million per occurrence, $2 million aggregate for the general liability. We also have our umbrella that sits on top of that. Remind myself what that umbrella limit was. 5, that's right. So we have $5 million umbrella, so we have $6 million for any one occurrence on the general liability. We have had some slip and fall claims, you know, that could be an exposure that we see as more of a frequency type driver for the county, but that would be $6 million for any one claim. Public entity management liability, this is going to be for your public officers and decisions they're making. Public officials' employment practices liability, that's going to be wrongful hiring, firing, discrimination, sexual harassment type claims that may arise in the county. And then employee benefits liability, wrongful administration of employee benefits. So for any one of those items, we'd have up to $6 million for any one claim. What I can tell you with umbrellas is we are seeing larger and larger claims and judgments awarded with than we saw 5 years ago. They call them nuclear verdicts, is what the buzzword is in the industry. It just means if there's an auto accident or a general liability claim that might have been $1 million before, now they're getting higher and higher judgments for whatever reason. Inflation and then public perception, jury perception also is driving that. Andrew, you can probably understand that a little bit.
Sure. There's always going to be trends. Do you know if they credit the fact that I would say that it's been sort of an accepted fact that Northeast Indiana has lower nuclear verdicts or a lower chance of nuclear verdicts and higher verdicts in general than other places around Indiana or the country? Does that come into play?
It does. It's more state-driven from our conversations with carriers. Like if you tried to get the same $5 million down in Louisiana, Louisiana has a thing called French law.
Yes, yes, they're still under the Napoleonic Code plus.
And their legal judicial system is a nightmare for insurance claims.
Okay.
So for our $5 million umbrella, we're paying maybe $20,000. It might be over $100,000 if you're down there just because the legal environment drives up the cost.
But I've heard trial lawyers in the past say Northeast Indiana gives lower verdicts.
They do. Yeah. This is Northeast Indiana is friendlier to the legal environment than southern or middle of the state.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions on any of that? Okay. School leaders E&O, for the Change Academy, we've got $2 million. This is about a $4,000 premium for what it's worth. I believe I got an email just this morning from Michelle Fosnaugh asking about some of these coverages for the Change Academy because that rolls up through community corrections and in the relationship with the school corporations and who needs to hold it. We've got, I'd sent, I think, Andrew, a copy of the Change Academy agreement.
It's a unique animal.
It's a unique animal. The contract's been in place, I believe, since 2019, if I remember correctly. Okay. And it spells out in the agreement that the county needs to cover school leaders, E&O. Something that's maybe something to look at in the future with school corporations. That being said, we pay about $4,000 for the year for that coverage. So it's not like it's this huge issue, but it's something to be mindful of as you're looking.
We have educators, we almost have to carry the coverage.
Exactly.
And I'm pretty sure we have like facilitator educators that are not hired by the school system.
Correct.
Right.
There are employees.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's why we have to have it covered.
Yeah, so that's why we have that coverage there.
And we have to supply those.
We have to, this was looked into at length, I don't know how many years ago, but since I've been here. And we have to have this piece of it. Anything else then goes through the school. But this is the piece that we need on the 2 teachers that we have.
My understanding is it's not a school, but we have facilitator teachers, and so we have to cover it.
Right.
We looked into whether we could push that contractually to the schools, and last time we looked at it, it was fine the way it was, or it was through negotiations. So if that's ever something that changes in the future, we can obviously tweak it and change it as well. Okay, next section is the police professional. We've got $6 million worth of coverage, and we actually break that with 2 different companies, Indian Harbor and then Kinsale. Police professional is a coverage line that has been troubled in our industry. Claims and losses have been unprofitable for the marketplace. I believe the county's right at 70% loss ratio for police professional coverage the last 5 years, so we are seeing claims from it. And then just this year's been unique with the claims we've talked about, where we've got some of these pro se claims that are in the millions and millions of dollars. We've been on them. We don't believe they're going to track to pay out anything.
Not even track to pay out hardly anything.
But it's just something we have to file with the carriers and get adjusters on to make sure we're handling it properly, so that hopefully, you know, it comes a no claim settlement.
I think one person is up to
Yes.
16 claims.
They just keep sending
All
it.
the jail claims and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's,
Which the insurance company handling that is treating it all as one
yeah, that was
overall claim, which is great. Is that Indian Harbor?
Indian Harbor, and they've been really good to work with. And what
The
they,
exception of that one case.
yeah,
Coverage. But
right.
other than that, yes, they've been very good.
Yeah, what they've been able to do is anytime we have these situations on the pro se claims where it's one individual that just keeps sending in claims over and over again, they're treating all of those as one claim, so we have one deductible, which is at a $25,000 deductible, you can imagine with 10 claims, it can add up fast.
But they'll put some sort of a complaint about something that happened, and then the prisoner gets to put down what they want for their claim, and so they put down 100,000 or 500,000. It's not connected to, in my opinion, a legal reality of what they could ever get.
Yeah. All right, and then we also have aviation drone liability at $2 million. That's, the sheriff's office has some drones. So that's the liability of flying the planes, and then also we have physical damage on the drones as well, in case, you know, the drones get damaged.
What would be the damage from a drone that would need $2 million?
The $2 million is for third-party liability. So that would be, you're flying in an area where we get a lawsuit because the drone flies where they're saying it shouldn't have been flown, and it was recording footage of what was happening there. Personal property, you name it. Now,
Even 1983 constitutional action saying we were investigating something private, you think that, I don't know, that'd be covered by that?
yeah, so that's a good question. Once again, this coverage is not expensive. I want to say it's, I can look real quick. I'm not sure if we have it broken out. It's $998 for the policy. But in the event that we get wrapped into a lawsuit where there's third party saying that we're flying the drone and they invaded our privacy and we're going to sue you, now we have coverage to defend us in the event that would happen. The physical damage portion of it is the drone itself. We have a $40,000 drone and it gets flown into a building, and we want to replace the drone, there's physical damage coverage for it.
Okay.
Okay? Good question. All right, so we've got county home coverages. We did get a good renewal from those carriers this year. One is Hamilton. They handle the professional liability, general liability coverages for the county home. And then we have Miller's, which is a Lloyd's product that handles the sexual misconduct, sexual abuse, molestation coverage for the county home. That in one item, the sticking point's always been the distribution of medication. As you guys know, that once again is included in this coverage and one of the main drivers of why we need it, this coverage out of the county home. One thing to note is that as we are going through this renewal, Travelers has asked us, has mandated with a critical recommendation to do background checks on county employees every 5 years. So this is something that I've had conversations. Once I got word of that, months ago, I started looping in Dottie and her team in HR just to make sure that we could surround it and wrap our mind around it. It's really been a best practice in the industry. It's, similar to like you get MVRs for drivers to make sure that you know who's behind your wheel. The industry largely would recommend a 5-year background checks on county employees. This is the first time that Travelers has mandated that we need to institute that in more of an official way. And I know Dottie and I have talked and we are working through what's the best way for them to handle that and to do that. I think there's like a 5-year anniversary trigger that's going to help us of who needs to have the background checks and not. But that is a newer item for us this year.
And how in-depth does that background check need to be?
It's just your standard criminal background check.
Standard one? Okay.
Yeah.
We have a lot of different ones out there.
Sure, yeah. And maybe that's a good question for Dottie that we can track down is which one. But whatever we're using currently it's something that's what we can use moving forward. Travelers not coming in mandating if something pops up, what you need to do. It's just a best practice to know who your county employees are. And then one other note of that is a lot of our departments are already doing it yearly. You know, like your sheriff's department, community corrections. By nature of their job, they already are doing it every year to begin with. It's just your other county employees now that are going to be done every 5 years.
So if we have to do it all, we have to do them all now unless they're less than 5 years employed.
Right, yeah.
Catch up, okay.
Yeah. Anything to add on any of that items, Mike?
No, I
Last
think you
couple
covered it
pages?
well. I just think it's in your best interest if you have an employee that's slipping through the cracks and knows that it kind of increases your liability in that. It would increase your liability in that arena. So I think it's a good choice for you guys to do it.
Okay. Auto section, $1 million per liability claim. Once again, our umbrella sits on top of it, so we'll have $6 million for any one auto claim. We have $1,000 comp and collision deductibles. We looked at $2,500 comp and collision deductibles, and there was negligible savings. If you remember, just over a year ago when we were with Liberty Mutual, they had $2,500 auto deductibles, and then up to $10,000 for some of the larger DeKalb County piece of vehicles that were over a certain gross vehicle weight. So we've really been able to keep the claim or the premium in line, but get lower deductibles that are much better for the county going through travelers. And then we do have, there's a list there. We've had a slew of recent vehicle changes that have been communicated. Those have all been passed on to travelers. We just haven't got their formal endorsement saying they've been added to the policy, but there is coverage in place for all those vehicles that are listed below. Those are just recently added in the last couple of weeks.
These include the police cars and everything?
Yep.
Okay, 'cause I just didn't see anything.
Yeah, I think, yeah,
That's kind of what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure.
yeah. Okay, any questions on the vehicles or the autos? We do keep, there's no schedule in here, but we do keep a schedule for you guys that can be reviewed in real time for you. Excess liability or umbrella, you know, kind of interchangeable terms in our industry. $5 million, like we talked about, sits over the general liability, auto liability, employee benefits liability, public entity management liability, and then your employment-related practices liability. So those are all have $1 million worth of underlying coverage and $5 million for a $6 million total. It does not sit over the police professional, but we already broke that out and have $3 million and $3 million, so we still have a $6 million coverage for any one claim. It's just not under this umbrella, since it's broken out.
The police and the county home were separate from this umbrella.
They're
That's
separate.
for clarification.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't see anything about floods. Do we have flood coverage or anything like that? I know the highway department's kind of got,
Yeah, I think that.
so maybe I missed it.
Yeah, it's fine. If you go back to the second page, we've got flood coverage. We've got $5 million for a specific locations.
Oh, there it is.
And then $2.5 million for other locations. And it's really just county home there because it's in the way it maps is in a higher flood zone than the others.
The county homes in it?
Yeah. 2.5 million there. And you can see all those buildings it's listing. And then those other locations up, everything else is 5 million.
But I think what I heard you say that where the highway department is not included in that, in Waterloo, because it's in a floodplain.
It was, I mean, I don't know specifically, but I mean, it looks like it's pretty close there or not. I don't see it on here.
Yeah, I'll double check that. That's a good
I see community corrections and the county home, which confuses why that would be considered flood area out there, but.
Yeah.
But if it's mapped that way, it's mapped that way. I mean.
Yeah, that's good. We'll look into it.
Would be okay. I was just curious. I know there's been some talk about being next to the creek there at the highway department and stuff like that, so I didn't know if it was covered. I didn't see it on this, so.
Sure.
And it's not a flood zone, it's a flood fringe.
Flood fringe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's flood fringe. a little bit different.
Want to make sure we were covered, that's all,
Yeah.
make sure, because,
Yep.
And that's all been brought up above that certain level. The buildings are all above that certain level of flooded zone.
Yeah, the way they're built up.
Yeah, it's all built up. There is retention then. They took the dirt from the retention and put it up
Okay.
to elevate the buildings. And so
Yeah.
this has retention, plus the buildings are up out of that
Okay.
danger area, I would say.
All right, so that's kind of a rundown of the coverages. You can see here on the pricing page, we had about a 12% increase overall of just pure rates, but we had exposure increases on the county highway department that are realized this year annually of about 11 million increase in the SOV. I've had I believe it was 8 or 9 additional vehicles year over year from last year, and then the county budget, which impacts the general liability increased as well. If you kind of net everything out and try to back into a number as best you can, we're seeing a net rate of just over 6% for the county year over year. And as Mike alluded to earlier, it's very common to see 15 plus with the public sector right now.
Bill, do you know what the percentage was last year?
I believe last year was about 7 or 8. Yeah. So you can see down below, we did go to the full market. We looked for ways to maybe find a better option for the county. You can kind of see the breakdown of the reasons why we wouldn't recommend a switch, whether they're high in premium or maybe their deductible structure wasn't beneficial for us, or maybe they declined due to a specific reason. We had one by the name of Astra that declined due to loss ratio. We're just under 40%, which we would view as a good loss ratio, but to fit in their model, you had to be, I believe, 30% or 25% or below. So really what they're saying is they will do counties per se, but you have to be almost spotless to fit in their model type thing. And those types of underwriting guidelines change from year to year. It's not like it's one, what's happening in 25 could be different in 26 or 27. So we've identified all the markets, and we'll continue to do our due diligence and shop them accordingly. And if another one presents itself, then obviously we'll have a conversation about whether we want to move on from Travelers, what that might look like. But for this year, it was a pretty clear cut that they're our best option.
So, question, Sunny Meadows is on here for 30, I didn't do the math. If it gets sunsetted early, would we get a refund on some of that? And if not, and say we have to go a little bit past the year that we have marked for sunsetting it, would we be able to get a couple months and then get more coverage again if we got it, then get it? How does that refund work if we shut it down?
Those are both they're both 25% minimum earned premium. So if you even just had coverage for one day, you're going to pay 25% of that premium.
Yeah.
So if this year, if we closed a little early, we would be able to prorate that remaining amount. Let's say it's 3 weeks or 8 weeks, or whatever that is. We could look at next year if we thought we were going to be closing after the renewal date, trying to pre-negotiate that with the underwriter to figure out what would be best for the county. But the current policies are 25% earned premium.
There were some questions that were brought up of if we go past our deadline, what would we do? Because the insurance was a big part of it. So thank you.
Yep. Anything additional, Mike, from your point of view that would be worth noting or good to the cause?
No. Again, what I said earlier, I believe I applaud the work that Kyle has done to keep the premiums where they're at and to look at options. I think one of the key responsibilities that we have for you on an annual basis is to analyze what options are available to us, and we do represent every market that is available to us, and it'd be easy to not do that. But from our perspective, that's part of the service that we will do for you on an annual basis. Is we'll always make sure that might not sometimes cost cheapest isn't best, but we always will do our best to get the best value for the county.
And I'll second that, for insurance trustees, this county relationship has been longstanding and one that we really value. So obviously, we'll continue to hopefully provide the best service available that we can and be a really good partner for you guys. We appreciate the relationship.
Appreciate all the hard work you guys do too.
Yeah. Any questions on any of it across the board, or any thoughts from your guys' end?
There were some highway numbers that were blank. Nothing listed as far as value. Wondering what the reason was for that.
On the statement of values?
Talking about equipment.
Where you at?
No.
No, it's
Buildings,
talking about location 14.
I believe so.
I believe that's now the city of Auburn, I believe, holds the coverage for that.
Oh, okay.
And I believe on the buildings, and we just have contents coverage there maybe stored there. Does that sound right, Susan, from your recollection on that?
Say it one more time.
Number 14 Ensley Avenue, which is the old highway department.
Yeah.
This,
Oh,
I
okay.
believe it's a city now that actually covers the buildings.
Yeah, we're all out of there.
We're now all out completely.
Yeah.
There is one tract that's still owned by the county. I don't know. if
Yeah,
that's
but this is,
That's just bare land.
Okay.
yeah. This,
But the buildings themselves, this is just
Okay.
one little lot of bare land down the street, not near the buildings.
Okay. So we have, some small business personal property coverage there, it looks like. This itemed out. We're completely out of there and don't need that at all. Okay. We can get that updated. It's not going to make much of a change in premium, but we'll get it updated so it's accurate.
Oh, I see it now, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for your time and the opportunity to continue to work with you guys. You know where to find us, obviously, if we can help in any way, and appreciate the support.
I still have a question on highway. Though.
Sure.
Number 13, you got highway building and the storage pole barn listed on Highway US 6, but there's more buildings up there than that. There's the shop and the,
Well, on down, you got US 6, you got salt
down?
storage.
okay,
At the bottom.
I got it. I see it.
And the fueling station.
Fuel station,
It's all separated out.
okay. Into questions
Yeah,
on my part.
sounds good.
Anything else, gentlemen?
I appreciate how fast Kyle responds when I send him claims. And we had one issue with an insurance company initially denying coverage, but Kyle worked with me and we were able to push him to
Yeah.
at least initially help defend. So Kyle works hard.
Thanks.
All
Okay.
right. What's your desires, gentlemen? New? Motion?
So move we renew the contract with insurance trustees as presented.
As presented, are you going to take that out, those few things?
Yeah, I got notes here to follow up on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll second.
A motion second on the floor. Additional comments? Comments from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Have a good day.
You.
Okay, Mr. Zaire.
Mic on. Just push the gray button. There you go.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. It was not on. I said, I think Bill was in our meeting the other day that we had, and I think Bill was fully aware of why I'm here today and what I'm asking for. We bought this property that the septic was not recorded. However, we do have a permit, and we do have a field with a septic in it. And I had asked Kathy what we can do. And from what Kathy is telling me, we need to get a certified inspector out there. And we're talking a home with 6 digits that we did have sold within an 8-hour period of time from the time that we listed it. However, the new owners did back out of it because of the system not being recorded. So I had asked Kathy to see if the Board of Health would step up and help us resolve the system, the issue that we have. That's why I'm here today, and I don't know if you guys have discussed it at all, Bill, or what your thoughts are on it, but.
Well, it's kind of undecided at this point, actually.
Okay.
I just wanted to see, I think Kellen had a couple questions about, was there money exchanged for this permit? Do we know
For
that,
me?
Kathy?
You're gonna, wait. You guys can't talk if you're not at a mic. So you gotta come up so that everybody can hear what's happening. And the public has no clue what you guys are talking about, so you might wanna give a little background on what conversation you're having so they know. Yeah.
You want to give a background? Give a background of what's going
For
on.
the back, and as he started to explain, he bought this property, wanted to resell it because he had to buy it because of the property that he wanted to buy, they had to go together. The seller was going to sell them together, so he bought the property, attempted to resell it because he didn't need the property with the house on. But the septic is not recorded. So the new buyer is balking at buying this property because there's no recorded septic. So that's basically what we're talking here. I think his request is for some help in getting this septic system inspected, certified inspection, so they know what they have to do to remediate it or move forward. Is that basically correct, Kathy?
So that we know exactly what is there, and there appears to be some issues with the existing system. That inspection would help determine what those issues are and what we need to do to correct.
Yeah. And Jesse, explain then to us, what are you actually requesting of us today?
Well, I was just thinking that we basically inherited it. We wanted the 13 acres on one side of the road of 45 and 60. So one's on one side of it, the other one's on the other side of 45. We had to take both pieces in order for him to sell one. That was the only way he was going to do it. However, he says he didn't realize there was an issue with the septic. Kathy didn't realize it until the owners started calling about it. And at that point is when we realized there was an issue. So I asked Kathy, where do we go from here? I said, can we go to the Board of Health and ask them for some compensation here or to help us figure this out, since we basically inherited the system? That's what I'm asking.
So if I understand right, Mr. Zaire is asking for help in the cost of the certified inspection and a soil evaluation to see if there's a place on the property to go with another septic system, and if there's not, then we would have to explore surrounding properties to see if we would be able to utilize something either through an easement or purchase of that land.
And I think you expressed at the meeting that you'd be willing to provide.
We would have property on the north side of the 5-acre property that we could certainly work something out, yeah.
But we would need the soil scientists to determine whether that
Yeah.
was usable or not.
Right. What are we talking cost-wise to do the inspection and the soil scientist?
Very rough figures, probably somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 for everything.
For everything.
You know, at this point, my daughter's already spending $3,300 to $3,300 just on the interest payments that we're kind of stuck with at this point, so.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Sandy Ginn. I am a realtor with Encore Sotheby's International Realty, and I was representing Jesse with the sale of this property. I don't know how much information you have in your package, but when we went under contract with this sale, the first thing the buyer did was want to look at the septic system. And when they went to the county, there was nothing of record for the septic system. However, in talking to the builder, I just want to make sure this detail is on the record. There was a form filled out, signed by your predecessor, correct? With some information on the system. So the confusion and the challenge here is it appears that the process was followed, however, it wasn't completed. And we don't have the historical people that were involved to speak to. One that is no longer living, and this is the best information we can. However, when this information isn't recorded, then we can't necessarily execute or follow the procedures for a residential real estate sale. So now we've got to come back and redo some of these things in order to be able to transfer the property to someone new. And from a value perspective, because we didn't have this documentation for the seller, it could be significant. So what we're asking is for some help to put a process in place to kind of come back and be able to have the documentation to make the property sellable. And unfortunately, this is an incomplete process. We have signatures and we have a document, however, it was never recorded at the county, the permit.
The document you were stating is from 6/23/05, 2005?
Yes.
Correct.
And when did you buy this property?
We just closed on it 6 weeks ago, maybe. I don't even know the exact date.
And when you were closing with it, you didn't worry about the septic system when you were buying the property originally? I know you said you
didn't.
inherited it, but you ended up buying that property,
Yes.
so.
I did not realize that there would be an issue with the septic. I honestly didn't. I was going from what the homeowner was telling me, so. And I don't know that he himself even realized there was an issue from when he bought it from the first home buyer.
And what we discussed the other day was that having that certified inspection would let us know exactly what was there. The certified inspection and that document could be recorded on the deed so that when there was a real estate search, that information would follow the property. Because I can't issue a septic permit number to this to record it through the health department. There's just no way for me to do that.
If the person that signed the form was still alive, we could have them do an affidavit potentially, but that's not an option.
So the person that signed this is deceased? Okay.
Yes.
I think the gentleman that put the system in is deceased as well, correct? Yeah.
Questions?
You want my input?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, I was looking at you, looked like you were wanting it. So there are different ways to view this from so there's as I look at this, I haven't done any deep legal research into it, but my initial thoughts on this is that I don't know that there's any actual liability if they were to file suit against the county, for example, for something that happened that long ago. I mean, there are statutes of limitations and limits on how long someone can file a suit, and we're talking about 10 years ago, give or take. If it's some sort of a tort for not doing a permit, I think that's problematic from the standpoint there was no, tort claims notice or anything like that done within required time periods. Now, could there be some liability? I suppose you talk to 10 attorneys and you're going to get different opinions on that potentially. But I also think that there is an idea that the counties and county officials are protected to some extent for things like this. So I guess I would say I would have trouble telling you that there's direct legal liability. However, this has obviously caused a hassle to the owner. You have to think about precedent as well, but this is hopefully a more unique situation. But if you start a precedent, that's something to think about as well. So I guess what I'm telling you is I think the mistake that we're talking about, the alleged mistake here, happened like 10 years ago. It's not something that happened. That's just what I would add to it.
And that would be my first question. To your knowledge, has this county ever paid, which is what he's asking, in the past?
There have been lawsuits, and the county did pay the lawsuits.
Was it for something similar, Kathy, or?
Not for lack of a permit so much as what went into the ground was not what was on the permit.
All right, so not a missed permit sort of situation. Okay.
It says in here that an inspection will be made within 72 hours of notification. That means when they signed this, your predecessor signed this, you're supposed to have 3 days to go out there and inspect it?
No, he would have had 3 days from contact from the installer that it was ready for inspection, to get out there for the inspection.
Because this could have been done multiple months or a couple months or whatever before.
Permit could have been issued a year before the house was even done.
But when they asked for the permit, they paid, is that 30 or 80? I can't tell on this.
I'm sorry?
They paid $30 for this permit, or is that $80 on this?
30.
Is that 30? Okay, it's kind of hard to tell a little bit. So.
Now, you had asked if there was any proof that the permit had been paid for, and I can't answer that because the receipt number is what the permit number ends up being. They go hand in hand. So we have a receipt book, and if your receipt number is 5245, your septic permit number is going to be 5245.
Down here, it says must be paid at the time of the applicant's filing, so I'm assuming that they paid for it on the time it got filed. This got filed, right? I mean, the normal process is if they come in now.
If it's working the way it's supposed to, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm just going based off of what it's supposed to be. Okay, thank you. So I would feel like money was exchanged then. I mean, if it says it has to be paid at the time of the applicant's filing, it was filed, it was dated and signed by the previous, I'm going to make the assumption that he collected the $30 and then never followed through with it, is my, what are you thinking, Jim?
Well, and it sounds like from the meeting that we had that they actually believed that the septic system was put in. Mm-hmm. That's, I mean, obviously it's a bit of an educated guess, but when you look at the photographs of it and what they're aware of, it looks like the system was put in, it's just there's no permit.
You can't sell the house without a permit.
We can probably sell it, but we're going to take a big loss on it, I'm assuming.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because of this occurrence, and I'm speaking just as related to this transaction and no other previous transaction as I represent the seller, I think that we had a contract that was very favorable from a financial perspective. before the question for this permit was asked. We're now in a situation where one or two things happen that are going to provide a significant change in value to my seller. One would be that we could right this ship, get the documentation to provide a new buyer assurance that what is on this piece of paper is there, or the direction of what needs to happen is there. Two, you may have to go into a situation because we're going to have to disclose there's no permit. We're going to have to legally disclose there's no permit. That will take a hit on the final sales price because our buyer pool will be less. We will have to find a buyer that is now comfortable with the lack of information that's available. So yes, I think there will be a financial difference in the sale of this home if we can't find the acceptable process to get everyone comfortable.
And that sounds reasonable to me from, I mean, it's not really a legal question, but just from my general knowledge of real estate stuff, that's reasonable that there would be a smaller pool of people that would be comfortable with buying a home with no provable septic system.
And I do believe that the septic is there simply because I don't think that they would have issued an occupancy without a septic being installed.
I agree.
I mean, I have evidence it's there.
Yeah.
They had a septic inspection. It's just not a certified septic inspection. So what we have, is it going to work for the county? We're going to have to use one of your certified inspectors.
And this, to get the certification is $2,000 to $3,000? Is that
Along with the soil testing as
Right.
well.
Soil scientists.
It's like perk testing for the ground to make sure that there's.
One of the issues is that when, at some point, there was a pond put on the property. And when they built the pond, the spoils were made into a berm around the property. So if the current system is having issues, you immediately look for a new place for a septic system, which is why the need for the soil scientist. I think with that berm being there, the majority of the property would be ineligible for a septic system because of compaction. You have to have native soils because you're dealing with the soil structure for the septic system to work.
In the picture, I think that berm is like a large arc or a large hook or a shepherd's hook or something.
Pretty much goes around the perimeter of the property.
Do you have evidence that that was permitted, the pond? Do you have anything to show that that pond was permitted? Did they
I
do a
wouldn't
permit
have
on
that.
that?
That'd be,
I would have thought he just did it like 5 years ago, so he probably would have not. Okay. I'd love to know if it was or not. I didn't check into that, but I would certainly think it was, but from what he told me.
to me, the issue is we took money to go get the permit, and then we have no documentation, correct? So, and to your point, and I understand that it's going to be a financial hit if whatnot, that people buy property as is, and it should have been, when you bought it originally, maybe that should have been brought up. But to me, the issue here is not the money aspect or anything like that, no offense to that. It's, we took money, not you, but our government took the money and did not follow through with what we said we we're going to do. So that's how I'm going to look at it. And I feel like we would have to justify that because, I mean, on this paper, it shows this documentation, wherever it went.
And I will add to that, Kathy is innocent. I mean, I truly feel Kathy's innocent on it. I'm not blaming her. Certainly
I'm not blaming her either. I'm just saying her department previously
Yeah.
was that the gentleman signed it, said that he was going to do this, and then it never got followed through. And that's how I'm looking at it.
Was it the health department, going to his document, was it the health department's responsibility to have it recorded, or was it the owner's responsibility to have it recorded?
Once somebody comes in to buy a permit, it's the health department's responsibility to make sure it gets into the system. And this just did not.
I don't think it gets recorded with the property, it just gets filed in their system.
Correct.
At the health department. So it could be located later. Is that what you're asking, kind of? It doesn't get recorded with deeds or?
That, doesn't it normally get recorded with the deeds or not? No?
No, but what they're wanting, sorry, I'm just listening to them back. What you're wanting, Kathy, is for this new inspection to get recorded so that because it's been filed with the county or missed with the county, we don't have documentation of it. They don't have documentation of it. We want to make sure that it gets filed so that future purchasers of this property know that there's a septic certified septic inspection and soils for an additional site somewhere else.
Correct.
If this one.
Yeah, so the recording is not an official thing, it's just it will help it be more sellable.
And are you talking recording in health or recording as in recorder's office?
Recorder's office,
Okay,
like recording something,
okay, so when this is done, so we take the money, then does another piece of the puzzle have to be with this before it would be recorded?
The
Like
original
it is
permit does not get
yeah,
recorded.
the original permit wouldn't be.
We're talking about this new step in the process.
Okay.
For
They
this
could even maybe
particular-
put a
for this
recital
particular
in the
case
deed or something.
only.
Okay.
They could put a recital in the deed maybe and say, I mean, I don't know, and say, attached is a certification showing this is an working septic system.
Those, the septic system there right now does not meet county specs.
I have no idea without the certified inspection.
Correct? It doesn't show it has one right now.
I'm sorry?
Your records show it doesn't even have a septic system.
Correct.
But obviously there is one. There's indications, there's evidence of a septic system possibly in failure at some point.
But the paperwork says there's none,
Yeah,
correct?
but the paperwork is,
And so there's no mistake here. The certified inspection is not going to say whether it meets all state codes and regulations. It's going to say whether the system is treating sewage before leaving property or not.
Does it have the fingers that are to it?
It gets complicated.
Well, no, I mean,
So who was supposed to record it? I'm lost.
The realtor might, or through the closing agent or something, might help with the recording. I don't know if they intend to do that with the deed or how it would be recorded.
I think if we have the information with the certified inspection as well as this, and it is recorded and stays with the property, it's going to provide, over the lifetime of that property, at least some assurance on information that's currently not there. I mean, we know we can't go back and stamp a permit number on this, but what can we do to begin to have the appropriate information stay with the property and know that it's there, it exists?
Have that information available to people that are checking in for.
and I think we've established what we need to do, but we need to establish who's going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's where we're at.
Okay.
Are we going to pay for it, or is Mr. Zaire going to pay for it? We know what needs to be done. Everybody kind of pretty much agrees. What's your thoughts?
So then what's going to happen? I'm just asking because this is really foreign to me. So if whoever pays for whatever to get done, so what happens if that certification or whatever gets done and, or it can't get done because there's something wrong and that they won't certify it?
Well, that is,
The certification means that the inspector has been through specific training
yeah.
to be able to do that type of inspection.
Got it.
He's just gonna go out there and tell us that there's a septic system there.
Yeah, we're not
Confirm
debating.
it exists, not necessarily that it works or how well it works.
Yeah, we're not.
Only that it exists.
From the inspection.
The problem is we have no paperwork that says it's even there.
So it helps
Got
prove it exists.
Yeah, outside of that, we have to be in.
Okay.
Verification
Okay.
of the
Its
system.
existence is what's causing.
You're not talking numbers, so I'm not sure what's happening.
Thoughts? Motion?
I just feel like it's, when you buy a property, it's your responsibility where I'm at.
I'm kind of the same way, but I feel that at the same time, your previous predecessor, this got dropped by us. I mean, I don't want to set the precedence. I have the same thought. Like, you bought it, you should know it, but the problem is, even if he'd looked into it before he bought it, we'd still have the same issue now.
Still the same issue.
Be the same issue, because we said that they bought a permit, they paid money for it, and it never got done. That's how I'm looking
It
at it.
should just be back one seller.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have done it previously, you would have had this same issue. You didn't care about the house so much as the land, and I understand that, and you bought it kind of as is, but the issue to me is that it got missed by your previous predecessors. It had nothing to do with,
Sandy, add one more thing to what the other agents told you about the property. Had it been recorded?
Right, had it been recorded, we wouldn't unraveled. We would have been on to a conversation about whether it worked or didn't work, and then in a real estate transaction, we would work through those things.
Yeah.
But because we didn't have a starting point, we could not work through any other steps. So we're kind of paralyzed, right? As far as succession of the property at this point.
because of a mistake that it, but yeah, and the previous owner not following up with it also. I mean, it kind of goes on both, so. It's definitely a unique situation, because right now it's shown that it doesn't even have a septic system, which we all can believe that they do, since they lived there for 5.
Motion?
I'll make a motion that we split the cost half and half. County responsible for half of it, owner takes some responsibility as well. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and second on the floor. Any additional comments?
You guys have comments?
Is that for the certification and the soil testing?
Yes.
Yes.
Whatever that total bill is,
Yes.
split it half.
Maybe up to a maximum of 3,500, 4,000 or something?
Yeah.
Whatever's reasonable, okay. I just wanted to put a cap on there.
Yep.
Is there authorized?
Right.
Our part of it, yeah.
Our part, yeah. Oh, yeah, the total cost.
Total
So your
cost.
half,
Not to exceed 4,000,
right, so your half is not gonna exceed 2.
2,000. I amend my motion to that.
You second the amendment?
I second it. Okay. You guys have any?
Additional comments?
No, I don't. I mean, that's your motion. I can't override that.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Jerry, we don't have any more, everything else is documented. We don't have any more of these coming that we know of. I mean.
You don't know till you find out.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Could I have just a moment?
Sure.
We had discussed a property owner on County Road 55 and 60.
Chris,
Okay, wait.
we can't hear. We're still,
There's too many talking and we can't listen.
thank you, Chris.
It was a
Can you
discharging property.
We repeat all that. We couldn't hear anything you just said.
Put that mic up, Kathy.
I can give you the actual address. It's 6064 County Road 55.
say that again, 50,
55.
no,
6064?
County Road 55.
60, 64.
Property owner is very well aware that the property is discharging sewage. We've been back and forth with him for a couple of years now. Mr. Cruz sent a letter to his office on March 24 of this year, giving him 10 days to respond with a site plan and 30 days to implement. What he chose to do was put in a holding tank, which is not a permanent solution for this, but it's legal to do, and it stops the sewage from leaving the property. He did get the permit for the holding tank. He has not had anything installed,
He didn't install it?
nothing.
Good grief.
Not one shovel of dirt has been.
So he's still discharging from there? Because there's still like a renter actively living there,
Yes.
using the
They're
facility.
discharging. What's our recourse?
From us.
What do we do next?
The, the, the letter stated that the commissioners would either condemn the property or enforce the $2,500 a day fine.
Andrew?
Well, typically on things like this, we would have a time where a person would be notified of a hearing and be able to come and speak to it, and then if they don't come and you're not, either they don't show up or you're not convinced with their side of the story, then you could enforce the ordinance.
Is that kind of like what we do with like
Like with, I think
property
so.
stuff?
I don't think we've had to do that yet on a health department thing. Enforcement, have you ever had to institute
Not
fines or anything like this?
Typically, it doesn't get this far. Typically, once they know there's a discharging issue, then I give them a time period because it's a lengthy thing to do. But if, I make it very clear that as long as we are working together towards a solution, then there will be no enforcement. But once everything falls apart, then there has to be.
So I may need to research this. It sounds like we haven't, maybe even McCann never had to go through how long have you been there doing your job now?
18 years.
18 years. So that would go back almost to when Jim McCann started and they haven't had to do any of these enforcement
I
actions
think Jim and I started probably
about the same
month.
time. So, I mean, there may be a statute process.
18 years.
No, how long are you giving this guy? 18 years?
Oh, no, this guy,
Okay, I was like-
we've been going back and forth with him for probably 2 years, that he's known that he is discharging.
He's had plenty of time to take care of the situation.
And then he was given 10 days for documentation to me and 30 days for implementation, and the 24th of April would have been 30 days.
There may be a statute on what has to be done to condemn, since we've never done that before. So I would,
Well,
you know, we have an ordinance, so that's part of how we got the whole idea of the condemnation.
can we immediately enforce the $2,500 a day without the hearing?
I
Since he's
think
already
it's in the ordinance that you can do that if they're in violation.
Well, I mean, since he's already been given notice of that, that's my, I mean,
And the ordinance is notice to the public anyway of whatever's in there. But as far as condemning the home, I would be hesitant to do that without a hearing.
well, that,
I don't know.
I'm with you on this. I think we should start charging him. He's had plenty of time to fix it. I mean, and then go through the procedures of condemning the home. I mean, he's had roughly 2 years. I mean, I know he's not exact date, but roughly 2 years. You've had plenty of notification. He knows what the problem is. You've had a lot of communication back and forth with him, so it's not like it's a surprise to him. So, kind of agree with Jim on that. We can start finding them immediately.
put a motion.
I think we need to have a motion on that, yes.
I would so move that we enforce immediately the $2,500 a day fine from this day
Maybe
forward.
let's start it from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
29th.
That's fine, fine.
Give it a full day.
I'll second.
Um,
Do we have to put in
Well,
bill anything or just,
it would be on the property 6064 County Road 55.
I meant like an end, like
No, I don't
daily
think we have to
until we
put it-
condemn it
well,
or?
Well, no, I think it would still, after it's condemned, I think you could still have the fine on it. So it would be daily until it is brought up to, do we say county code, or until there's an adequate,
Until there's no discharging sewage.
until there's no discharging sewage from the residents. Good language.
Who proves that?
Pardon?
How would he prove there's no more discharging?
The health department would
You would
be,
need to put in the holding tank and have it inspected.
Okay.
And have the current septic tank pump crushed and filled.
discharging down the county ditch?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going under County Road 60 into,
Is there another open
Sample.
ditch there or something that it goes to, or it's, you said it's under the road to the other
it goes
side?
out into the road ditch on his property, then goes under County Road 60.
Oh, okay.
Follows it down, yeah.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Any additional comments? All those,
Clear up the motion a little bit so we make sure it's very clear.
Have we Jim motioned to immediately enforce the $2,500 per day fee from April 29th going forward until there is no discharge of sewage.
Approved by, inspected by the health department. That work?
okay,
That way, when he gets it, he knows exactly what he needs to do to stop.
Go to the health department, let them know and have them confirm it. Yep.
Correct.
His installer will need to contact me for inspection.
His installer should contact health department.
what if he says, I'm going to vacate?
I put in no discharge of sewage inspected/confirmed by the health department.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
I also, Mr. Miller had come in to discuss with potential septic ordinance change, and I had put together some information. The state of Indiana has, the legislature has basically taken home rule away where it concerns septic systems. There is a technical review panel now for all ordinances. They are not approving anything that is more stringent than what is in the state code. And I'm more than happy to give this to you. You can look through. I contacted State Department of Health about it, and the email is in there. She was telling me that they are changing the focus on the TRP, Technical Review Panel, from reviewing each and every county septic ordinance to reviewing the state code and revising it. So there's nothing that they're going to even be reviewing in the near future from specific counties. I don't know when that's going to change or if that's going to change. But we don't have the option for changing the ordinance.
Now, are we talking the specifications of the field and the systems? Or are we talking about additional
Anything to
ordinance?
do with septic systems. Anything to do with septic systems.
Anything?
Chris Galmer mentioned in a Plan Commissioner BZA meeting that it includes even a 2-acre requirement. You can't have it. But we don't. We just have a 2-acre lot requirement that's just separate from septics and not connected to septics currently.
I can't even require installers to have education on installation anymore.
Wow.
Can we write an ordinance that would require an inspection before the sale of a property? Not that even.
I don't know. I would have to look into that to see what the,
Well, if the state one doesn't say that, they're not going to approve something that's more stringent.
they're not going to approve anything more stringent.
That's not being more stringent, though.
That is being more stringent. The codes for septic systems do not address inspection before.
There's nothing currently in the state, right, requiring when you're selling a home that a septic be inspected.
Correct.
Not going to add anything else to the code is what it sounds like. Right, they're going to basically, this is what we want you guys to do.
Yeah, it's not really changing the code, it's
There's
a
still gonna-
restriction on sale of real estate before it can, inspection before it can be sold. I don't know where that falls under that.
I don't know that we have too many county laws that are affecting before land is sold, other than if you're gonna have a subdivision, there's, you know, or build another house or something. But if you're just selling a home, I don't know that you have to get county approval to sell a home currently. If you did this, you'd have to.
Allen County had an operation and maintenance program that they had to drop because of this change. They were inspecting septic systems depending on the type of system, every 3 to 5 years to make sure that they were still functioning. They took that ability away from them.
That sounds like that would be covered by what you're suggesting there, right?
Yeah.
If they can't inspect it every 5 years, then how can we require an inspection before you sell your home?
Thank you for that information. I appreciate it very much. I do.
I'm glad I could come in and brighten your day today.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yes, thank you very much.
And I'll have Susan scan this and send all of it.
And then who should, do you want me to do a letter to the company again, notifying him of the $2,500 fine? Or?
Yes.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay, wrapping up, we need to do the Sunday Meadow video surveillance access policy.
I have one thing that I didn't have on the agenda real quick, and I had passed it out. I provided you with a copy of the, it says SLFRF, which to us, it's our ARPA reporting that we're required to do. This is the final report that I submitted to close out ARPA so that we are done with that because we had made some adjustments and we no longer have to report anything with them anymore. So I just need you guys to at least motion to acknowledge that you received this report that we submitted.
Did you receive that report?
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion second floor, additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Changes in there you requested in the Sunny Meadows video.
I'm happy with the changes you have, Jim.
Yep. So move we accept the Sunny Meadows video surveillance access policy as presented.
Second.
Motion second floor, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you, Andrew and Susan, getting that done shortly. Helps.
Anything else? Anyone?
I have two things. So, update on the Baymont. I talked to our treasurer and she said, I'll read the email. Says he has one more payment due pending still from September 2021. He has not paid any of the large penalties or attorney fees. And they have not received the innkeeper's tax for March of 2025 yet. It was supposed to be turned in April 20th. So we have one, he's paid, I believe, 9 of them.
He's paid quite a few now.
But missing one, but he's not paying the fees and penalties. And then he just missed last month's payment too. So I just like to keep an update on it, know that we're keep tracking it, watching it. So Andrew, Joni, and I are taking care of that. Also, Sunny Meadows update. We had one resident go back to her guardian. I did reach out to Brenda. Everybody's watching. Brenda's going to be the transition coordinator, and she is still going to reach out to that resident and see if they need any more assistance or help. Again, I'm going to say again, we do not want any companies coming out and soliciting the residents. They need to go through our coordinator to make sure, because I don't want promises being made that can't be followed through to our residents out there. They've been promised a few things. They're excited about it. We had nothing to do with that. We can't have that. Can't have companies coming out there and talking, because that's just inappropriate in my behavior from these companies. They need to go through Brenda. She knows it. She's going to be out there starting this week. And if I'm asking the commissioners or anybody else that if anybody's interested, to send it to me, and then I'll send it on to Brenda, or send it to Brenda alone. And then that way she knows what's going on. We all have one connection point. Brenda's working very closely with the committee. And so it's not just her doing it, it's a committee. It's just how we have the system set up. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Kellen.
That's something real quick.
our service contract for the elevator is up. And I have a quote from Otis, and then I have a quote from the company that's doing the elevator right now. Otis is $8,000. They come once a quarter, check everything out, make sure everything's okay. And that's for a year. Executive is $350 a quarter. $350 a quarter. So, I mean.
And they're doing the check once a quarter.
Yes.
That's 1,200 versus 8,000.
Yes. So, I mean, I think it's no-brainer, but I thought I'd better bring it to you.
I want to make sure that the services are being the same. I mean, why is it such a big difference there? There's got to be something.
Well, and that.
I mean, I get a little nervous about something being that big of a difference to make sure that we're not missing something that Otis is doing checking wise versus not.
We can request a description of that service.
Yeah.
Well, here, I've got a contract.
How soon do we need to have this signed? Can we wait till next
Okay,
meeting?
I was gonna say, legal hasn't reviewed it.
Yeah, I
We
don't
don't
make
have
it.
everything.
Yeah, I don't want to make it.
We're running on a time here. I've got another meeting coming.
Yeah.
So you just want to make copies of everything?
Yeah, send it to us, take a look at it.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
And if you can email it to me too, Larry.
Pardon? Is it okay if we do it in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I'll just send it to him.
Timeline, like, do we need to set up another meeting or anything? Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
All right, thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Anything else, anyone? We are adjourned. Thank you all.